I think he needs to do some damage. I think the Gremlins especially are going to make this difficult, though. Winston, it's time. Second series of the day. Call to arms. We're hopping in for DivineDFP versus TheMista, a series that matters quite a lot because either one of these players still has, although a slim chance, a chance to make playoffs.
Yeah, and just to answer your question, snap, snip, snaps, the bans are like what civs you can't play from the other player. So like imagine the bans go across the screen, if that makes sense. You're banning the other player's civs, right? So that's why it looks like that. So yeah, Divine chose not to ban Roos, and so Mista gets to play Roos. I know it always confuses me because it's like your home map next to the civs that the opponent banned.
You know what would be good?
That's like, the way to think about it.
You know, I'm gonna give feedback live on stream. I think this will work though. It reminded me kind of the way Dota does it, where you have like the picks and the bans below them, sort of thing. If we had all the civs available, and then the banned ones below that, and as each map gets used, the civ fades out, so you can see what the collective pool remaining is. That's especially going to be important, by the way, when we think to the future of the expansion pack, because we know we've got additional civs coming on. So it might be hard for people to track. Many. We can't...
A lot of civs.
We definitely know all the secrets. We just can't tell him about you. Instead, we can tell you what's in front of your face, which is Mista. Definitely someone who'd be favored in this matchup. I don't think Divine would even disagree with that. But I like that Divine has started by putting his best foot forward, his most comfortable civ to open the series.
Yeah, so Mista up to 3 scouts, making a 4th. And back in the day, I think when Frisian Marshes was first introduced, I forget which tournament it was. It was around the N4C Golden League.
Red Bull Wallalo.
It was Road to Red Bull. Yeah, around this time, I remember there was this Roos meta where players would build like a forward wooden fortress into like the archer spam builds just from the middle of the map, because they were like, oh, if I wooden fortress the boar, that's 8 vills, they perfectly fit. Then I build a hunting cabin, and then you followed up with the TC. That was before the Kremlin era, even, right?
Before the Gremlins came out, yeah.
And now with the Kremlin, this whole map has kind of started to play a little bit differently, right? Like it feels like Roos is a lot more flexible in how they can approach the strats. Like they're less of this all-in, like I'm going to take the middle of the map and try to survive build, and more of this, I'm going to do whatever I want and win build. But we'll see. We'll see where this Kremlin goes down, if it is indeed the Kremlin. Who knows? It's Mista, right? He's kind of known for breaking the meta in a lot of ways. Trendsetter. Yeah.
Like
for better or for worse for his own strategies, right? He kind of comes up with his own stuff that sometimes work, sometimes don't.
Exactly, and to that point, right, he kind of does something that broke the meta, because I feel like a lot of people stop at 3 scouts at the moment, whereas he went up to 4, seemingly anticipating Divine would go for that second scout. I love that read, and this shows you just how potent the Roos are. I think I said this like a year ago, and it remains true to this day. If you pulled all of the civs on average, I think Roos has to have either the fastest or second fastest age up timing on average. And it's all because of the amount of gold they reap off the map with the bounty.
Yeah, not having to go to the gold mine just saves you so much. Like all your vills are just right there doing what you want.
Whoa, okay. We're actually going to do this?
So you have a trade build. I'm so excited.
Against the Roos. This feels very risky. Now, my worry here, Winston, is like we opened the series, the pre-analysis, talking about Divine's greed and how he's a million TCs. This is not TCs, admittedly, but it's still that idea of greed. And if Mista's already anticipated that you're going to be a greedy son of a gun, and he goes for an all-in play, does this not just fall flat?
We'll see. I mean, 7 vills on the Kremlin, so really focusing on getting that up ASAP. What are these vills going to go to next? Maybe the middle? Like there's hunt forward. Maybe he's just going to go straight up, and just being on the boar early can help counteract. Oh, TC build for Mista. So matching greed with greed. But he has not scouted the chamber yet.
I just done a U and I looked at the chat and I just read, yes, get that COC up. I can't. Did it ever occur to anyone, like the acronyms for some of these buildings?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got
I mean, what are you gonna do? Like
cogs.
acronyms can be twisted in any way, though. Like, what can you do? At the end of the day, it is what it is, right? Like,
yeah, everything means something dirty in 2023. But
I mean, in AoE 2, people just keep talking about how good your BBC micro is, right? So it is what it is. Like, people, you move on. You can either love it for what it is or love it.
We love our BBCs, and I love what I think I'm seeing from Mista. he's moved his scouts north. Is he potentially thinking pro scouts? No, he's just torching. Okay, torching the mill. I was gonna say it'd be very different to go pro scouts, but I could see the value in this game considering like Divine is unlikely to defend Hunt.
I still don't.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say I really wanted pro scouts, but go.
That could have been cool. I mean, pro scouts would be nice. Maybe after, because you have to be mining gold to afford it as Roos, unless you sacrifice basically everything, right? Oh, he's gonna spot the chamber, right? I mean, he was been looking for the school of Cav, right? He sees the chamber and he's like, okay. Does Mista change anything right now, though? Probably not. He's pretty committed to the TC. Has to finish it. Otherwise, all the stone and time is wasted. So he's going to go 2 TC, probably. But how does he follow this up? What military?
So, I mean, Divine's already dropped the stables, right? So we're probably anticipating a few knights. Mista could just go for your standard like double arch range plus racks. You know, play that weird kind of, you might as well pick the English build. He's going to be moving towards the board. This is a cool positioning, very defendable, plays away from the fishing that your opponent would maybe anticipate. It also pushes you further towards your opponent's base, so setting up military here is nice, while you're still getting deer, boar, and wood lines that protect you all in one. Wait, is he actually going to...
Meanwhile...
No, come on. I need it, Mista. Show us your micro... Oh, he's not going to get it. If he
I think he was trying to get the trap. Yeah, I think he was trying to get the surround, but... not quite able to.
By the way,
I mean, delaying this trader this long is huge.
Because he hasn't been out yet, right?
I think Divine's defensive with his 2 scouts. He has no idea what Mista is doing. Just the way Mista found the Chamber of Commerce, and Divine, I don't think he knows that it was a TC build. I just don't think he knows yet. So he's afraid of knights. He's afraid of knights. Yeah, he's afraid of the Roost Knights, right? I was about to list other things he could be afraid of, but it's probably just the knights I know.
There's a lot of knights. Yeah.
Yeah, but French Knights always feel good against Roos, right?
Yes.
Like it just always feels good.
It feels good if it's not if it's not a knight, it feels a bit wonky because like your opponent can run away. You like to have something tangible. Like if your opponent goes knight archer, you're like, great, I can chase him down. I'll get the charge off, and then I get my advantage as the French. But I think if it's like pure knight versus knight, it's tricky for Divine because he has a very long stretch of land to defend for his economy. Mista, meanwhile, doesn't. Right? He's very safe. Yes, double stable. Okay, so yeah, I actually think
trying to hide them a bit.
That's cool. I like this from Mista, but the tough part is Divine is layering in Spearman, and that's where this doesn't feel good as a Roos play. If it was just knights like we were talking about, I actually like it for the Roos.
Yeah, this matchup, a lot of matchups where you have the feudal knight turn into just knight archer or knight spear, right? And I always feel like knight spear, for me, it just feels like it always has the advantage because you force your opponent to micro a lot better. Whereas you can just kind of baboon a move, right? Yeah, and it just works. Like the fights are just going to work because if you Spearman hit a knight, you're doing better, right? But we'll see. Divine's position, he's got he's used the chamber build well. Like he's gotten all the eco techs, so all these traders that he's gotten so far are completely free. Keep in mind. I mean, besides the fact that you had to get like the mining upgrade right now, which is not maybe the most valuable.
It's cheap,
but we'll see.
Right? Like they were made cheap a while ago, so it's kind of a shrug. I hope he got forestry. Because he went back for the wood gathering upgrades, I assume he did, but I have sometimes seen these situations where, because it's kind of a weird build, you build your cock, but you forget to research forestry in Dark Age, and then you just kind of forget about it for the rest of the feudal age. Definitely not describing situations that I've personally been in. Oh, this is interesting. He's starting a long wall. And it's... Oh, so he's not going to... I don't think he's going to try to wall the entire map, because that's too expensive, right? Like, surprisingly, these very small gaps to wood them in is really pricey because of the initial cost of placing palisades. So instead, he just wants to create a few choke points that his knights can win in.
Yeah, just keep it... Yeah, just... Especially that north side, just prevent those run-ins where they just come around the back of the trade post. It's just like, oh, so annoying to have to, like, defend that. But here, I think it's going to be okay. Meanwhile, the knight, completely different direction than expected. Gets a Vil. Nice. But it doesn't really matter, right? The French privilege is that they're up a couple Vils by this point in the game because of their faster working TCs. So just counteracting that very slightly.
But it's the way he has to play.
Now?
Like, he knows he's not going to have mass anytime soon. Like, Divine, I mean, I got to give it to him. He's about to hit over 10 knights without a School of Cavalry opening. And he still has supporting Spearman. Like, this is a mean military force to be parking out this early on. And Mista, I mean, if he can't snipe a few of these traders, this 2TC is going to have limited value, right? He must be like half extracted on the board by now. Once that runs out, like, you know, where's your big boom value versus trade?
Can we check on the chamber real quick? Is Divine actively training traders, or is this the play where you just get the ecotechs, get the free traders, and just leave it, right?
I think you leave it. Like
He's actively training. Interesting.
Oh, wow. So that puts more value into Mista to just dive hard into this. It's very confident of Divine to believe he'll have enough, especially if he starts hemorrhaging villages like that for free.
Even another market, so feeling confident in the defense, but we'll see. Mista's here in the north, gonna start catching some of these free
This is my worry.
traders.
Yeah, and remember, they're not going to be free for long because he's going actively into this. But, like, look at his mass. He had most of his knights at home. Mista saw that, read it perfectly, and knows he can get away with a dive. 2 trades going down like this, made that free, is a huge edge for Mista at this stage of the game.
And the Vil that was walling,
God.
and the knights can escape.
Bye.
It's gonna be...
Wait, he's gonna leave one in the forest.
Yeah, I think he tried to escape, but I guess he'll just leave him here, right? Like, oh, well, I guess I'm here now.
I mean, he's coming out to
Triple
play.
stable knights is a lot of knights. And of course, French losing the...
Are we back into our maths? It's a lot, but is it more a lot than the blue a lot?
Well, in this situation, I was about to explain, KP, usually the French stables are a little bit better because you expect them to have School of Calf. But here, because you went Chamber of Commerce, that's a little bit different, right? So stables are going to be a 1-to-1 match. And yeah, this is a spicy game so far. I love seeing Chamber of Commerce builds.
Yeah.
It's really, like, I'm glad, I really like the change to it where
it gives you reason to buff. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Classic KP. Always a child. It's okay. Twitch
sorry,
chat
I'm
is also
sorry. Give
making
us your analytical point.
COC
I
jokes.
really do want to hear it.
No. What were you saying?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I love seeing
forgot
it
my
fail.
point.
But like, because you say that you love seeing cock. I'm sorry, I just realized what I done there.
Hold on.
You love seeing Chamber of Commerce. And the reason you love seeing it, but then I was going to go, I love seeing it because it always gets buffed. Why do you love seeing it?
I don't even know how to answer, man. This is an insane raid, by the way. And Divine just didn't even notice for like, he's got pulled. What is he doing?
Wait, what?
Why is he pulling the Vils?
Get him, boys! I think he like box selected. Oh my god.
What? What a disaster piece. Oh my gosh, Divine with just the sadness. He's now down 16 Vils, 17 Vils as French against 2TC Roos.
Our conversation
23.
was so potent, it even distracted Divine.
Yeah.
How do you come back in this? Like, look at, he's still Benny Hillsing with one knight over here.
So yikes, that's a big scared. I'm so sad for him. And now the Spearman Mask from Mista is here to challenge it, and Divine not quite watching. Gonna be losing a bit of HP, does back up, only losing one knight.
This is over.
But
this is actually
This is
over.
terrifying.
Terrifying is my analysis.
That's
of
a
Chamber
lot of
Commerce,
knights from
but-
Divine, though. But
I mean, yeah, but like, this isn't even
They're
the full
hurt.
army of Mista, right? Like, there's more coming. You have to go now. Like, Eco is so crippled. If you can't find a counterattack, this is over in 2 minutes. So we're going for the charge. He commits straight onto the Spearman. Not ideal because now the Knights wrap around. And a fight that you'd think maybe Divine could take because the Knight Mass is going absolutely horrifically for him. His Knights are going to be cleaned up. His Spearman can at least maybe even it out. But now with the hits to your economy, how do you rebuild the Royal Knights?
oh, that was so many knights that just died. Oh my gosh, look at the army value right now in the field. It's like 2-to-1.
I mean, the thing is, Divine might
Eco
not
is 2-to-1.
realize just how over it is. Like, but
Oh, yikes.
the moment he now forfeits the trade line, which he's going to have to do, because he also tried to transition to archers here when he's now losing against mass heavy cavalry. Like, this is you shut down. This was your only hope, your only dream of taking Frisian Marshes. Man, what a way for Mista to play this. Just showing you the potency of that delay double TC. Especially when you see that Chamber of Commerce, you mentioned it yourself, right? Not having the increased production speed means that Divine, he's kind of capped on how many knights he can flood into the field. And on a delay, Roos can exceed that number. I mean, hell, we haven't even seen Gremlins yet.
Oh yeah, the first Gremlin pull is going to be nuts. Yeah, basically, Divine flashed flashed Mista here with the COC, and it didn't pan out. It didn't pan out.
Oh, man, I hate
He
that.
tried to flash him. He tried to surprise him.
And you know what?
Divine
Divine
he
tried
got
to-
punched in the you know.
Yeah, and he tried to be a gentleman about it, right? He tried to retract his COC, and he really did try to hide it in his bush, you know, in the tree line. But
Okay,
it just didn't work out, man.
We can't. This can't continue. Why did I do it again? I did it again because I couldn't help it. But we gotta stop. Also, yeah. So I gotta say, I like the vision here, but also, like we talked about it before the game, I think the option to let your opponent have Roos, regardless of who they are, in this tournament will be a mistake, right?
Mhm.
Roos are just so dominant. They have been so dominant. There's a reason that every other player is just insta banning Roos, right? You get 2 bans. Why try to get fancy by banning your player's second best civ as well, right? It's sort of like I'm going to ban your first best and your second best, but leave the best, right? It's sort of like at what point does their second best civ, like, like trounce banning Ruth? Like how did you get to this stage, right? Because I feel like that strategy, like from the get-go, that was actually pretty good by Divine, right? He had a sizable eco lead, he had a bigger military, and then it just kind of fell apart to what Roos does best, right? Like that was literally like an ideal Roos game. Get your bounty, get your age up, get your like forward position, get on a boar in the middle of Frisian marshes. Like that's like the tale has told us a tale as old as time for this map, and he just kind of let Roos play Roos's game, did not aggress at all, never killed a villager, right?
Mhm.
Just played purely defensively, and eventually just kind of got punched in the face, right?
Yeah.
Like that's got to feel bad. That was decisive as hell, and I think I think kind of demonstrates why players have been banning Roos so like adamantly. Is like the fights just do not go well, counterattack options are limited, and their economy is just insane behind it. Like he was just on 3 stables with less vills and a TC. Like it was kind of nuts. Well, not less vills. He had more vills, but less
Well,
economy.
you
But
see
he had the TC for growth. You know what I mean?
the like the wild element with the, let's say, let's compare French versus Mongols, right? Because both the, like we've seen trade there now for French. Mongols do it a lot on that map as well. The difference is like the Mongols have a movement speed advantage that they can play into, that they need to play into on such an open map. Whereas, you know, you saw the attempt by Divine here to wall off parts of it to create these partitions. But the problem is, like, that might have been a good long-term plan, but he was hemorrhaging the early phases, right? It just felt like Mista was paying a lot more attention to the Chamber of Commerce, and all the places he could kind of extract value than Divine was able to. And, you know, it kind of felt like, you know, Divine, he may have played the blue color, but he needed a blue pill to really get him one up here. It just wasn't really enough. I'm sorry, that was the last one because we're now away from French. But he just didn't have enough kind of steam behind this. Maybe if we're talking like highest micro skill, because I think Mista out microed him in this early phase as well. I could see a world in which he kind of ekes through and gets away with this, but it's still tough to call. We mentioned it in the game. We didn't even see the gremlins. Imagine you add the gremlins into a mid-map fight. You can't win against that with this build. But doesn't
Yeah.
no, doesn't have to worry about it. French has gone there. French is still in the pool for Mista, so who knows? Maybe he'll come back later and teach Divine how to do the build and break us with our acronyms, but we don't have to worry about that for this next one, Winston. It's
We're not
Mongols
doing it
versus
again.
Ottomans.
So I'm just wondering if Divine is about to play Mongol trade on Golden Heights, right? This map has the corner sacred site, the corner neutral post, right? So you can kind of get decent trade, and it's already like semi-protected. So this is one of the earlier theories of this map was, oh, Mongols just play for map control, then trade behind it, and you can kind of swing it to the dock as well, and you can kind of forfeit water control here. But interesting. I don't know. I mean, also Mongols can play really aggressively. If you do go for the dock play, you can add the horseman in, which really shut it down effectively. So Divine, I feel like has a lot of options with how he wants to approach both the early game and the mid game here. Mista, on the other hand, as Ottomans, what's his play going to be, you think?
It's interesting you mentioned the Horseman because I think that's like the one play that Divine can't make because remember, whenever you see Ottomans on this map, they're really good against like English, whatever, because both sides end up trying to play for the water, and the Ottoman player just builds racks because it's cheaper and starts spamming Spearman, right? So what I
Mm-hmm.
think this could very easily turn into is a spear on spear mosh pit. But if Mista chooses to build his racks out towards the docking side, that's heavily going to favor him. Even more so, if you were to ask me which one of these players is going to micro better, Mista's already shown better micro, right? I think these are two kind of negative elements for Divine that might lead him to just try to play towards that trade you mentioned instead.
Hmm. Yeah, but I feel like generally forfeiting water on this map feels
bad.
horrible.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of players fighting over the water early, which is why like the horseman is so good because it can just outrun the spears and just constantly threaten the vills. It can torch the dock down, right? So it's why historically we actually have seen Mongols on this map. Although usually that was against English that the horseman was like kind of
Yes.
okay, right?
Yeah.
Because the men at arms struggled, but then that got changed. So there's I think there's a lot of like nuance to how this map can get played, and I just like enjoying seeing how the players micro it because I think there's a lot of appropriate methods, right?
If I've got it. If
Yeah.
Mista places the racks shore side as the Ottomans, he wins. He wins. Like you can't contest water because, like to your
Yeah,
point,
because you have to be at the Uvu as Mongols,
yeah,
basically.
because you
Yeah.
waste your first there, then you have to get more wood for a racks, right? You get double production, but by then he catches up. And the real big concern here is like if his racks is next to the dock, you can't even do that horseman play you talked about because he doesn't
Yeah.
have to run away, right? He just guards one spot, and you can't hit the dock or the racks.
Right.
Man, it's tricky.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
tricky. This map is always I don't think there's like one clear cut answer here, right?
no, because like we could be describing this, and then they just like don't go water at all.
Trade yeah, the Mongols just build Silver Tree right away and trades and tries to get like a couple cheeky traders and right.
Yeah.
Um,
And then it turns into like a game that takes place on the entirely opposite side of the map to fishing. But like historically, when I see Ottomans picked, it becomes about this play onto water. In fact, Ottomans really started to kind of take the lead with these water openings. Remember when Canal got introduced at the start of the year, people leveraged them heavily because of the cheaper production buildings, because both their racks and their docks get a 50 wood discount, which allowed them to get a big lead in the first 2 or 3 minutes of a game.
Yeah, that discount really revolutionized how you can play Ottomans, especially in the early game here, right? Like getting the cheaper switches, like obviously in Feudal Age as well, cheaper tech switches into archers, right? Or Spahi now, which are a formidable cav, right? Can definitely be a problem. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to see it at this point, right?
Well, you get to see it, Winston, in 20 seconds.
22,
All will
21,
be revealed. Wait,
19,
I think you're like 2 seconds behind.
15.
Do you want to refresh your 2 seconds behind us?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I sensed it in the first
I
series. Like,
probably
I
shouldn't
think
have.
he is.
Oh, you could tell? Oh boy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's all good.
I think I just always am, but let me see. I'll
I
refresh.
mean, I don't want to be mean. It could be your brain, but that's more likely me. Hey, or
Uh, no, I think you're onto it.
All right, there we go. So we've got you in sync. Well, now we're initiating overlay, so you don't have to worry about counting anymore. But I can count how many games we are into this series. Just the second game of our second series. Still plenty of fun to come. So if you haven't already, make sure you're following this channel. Make sure you go and subscribe to the YouTube side to catch up on the series later when they're uploaded there. And make sure you subscribe here.
Mhm.
It's still September, which means that subs are cheaper. In fact, if you've got Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a damn thing because you already paid the price when you got your Prime subscription. So why not take advantage of a free subscription to dodge those pesky ads, get some amazing emotes, and get some amazing gameplay? It's time for Game 2 of Mista vs. Divine.
Yeah, I just heard KP promised. He just wrote it in this Discord. He said if we get 10 more subs, I'll do the Jigglypuff again. So I don't know if you wanted
You
that.
really
He
wanted
said
to set such a low bar for that.
10. I mean, you're cheap. What can I say?
That's true, I am. I'm happy with Mackie D's, mate. All right. So,
All right.
let's see if
Moving on.
Let's see if we get the opening phase expected. Uvu's been dropped, but that's like standard. Mongols do that even on water maps, right? Mista didn't go for the racks play. He went for a safe military school. So this gives Divine the opportunity to play into rack spam and take water.
Yeah, I think we'll see though. If Mista adds the barracks as well, though, that remember that used to be a build. I think it still is around, right? In a couple of games,
Yeah.
you see that on I think Canal still every now and then, right? You get the military school into second racks, and then you just spam Spearman, and it kind of helps you keep up with Mongols. And then at least when you get to feudal age, you've had that investment, so
And you have the tech
military
up.
school for anything.
Yeah, then you also have the tech up on the initial spears. And in fairness, in a Mongol matchup, like, does a Mongol player really want to spam archers? Probably not. They're more likely to play cavalry than other civs because they just lose the meta attack speed. So then your spearmen keep value, and you're likely to invest into more of them. Suddenly you have that racks upgrade. And you bang on, my friend. We are going to get the racks follow-up here off the straggler trees. The question is, how many spearmen are going to be partying towards that water side?
Yeah, and I remember, I think we've seen, there's a couple civs that do this where we just get like a spearman, like, I don't know, like a rave in the middle of the map where they're just going back and forth like this the whole time. No one can see my hands, but I'm doing like a thing. They go back and forth like this. So
Oh
we're
my god, he's
all,
rolling on the floor now.
yeah. You can't see me, but I am doing an interpretive dance of
He's John Wicking.
how, yeah. Basically, we're basically you just have spearmen all charge each other, then they run away, then the other guy get their charge back, and they charge back, and you just get this elaborate mating ritual for I don't know how long, like 4 or 5 minutes until people can kind of go feudal and change it.
I'm just remembering the scene from Fantastic Beasts where he's got that big rhino and he like dances, rolls around and everything. Like the mating ritual may be a big issue for Divine because like here's like an awkward thing for that clash you just talked about that makes Mongols lose immediately. We're gonna up to like let's say we go up to 10 Spearmen. I just got a VP. I'm gonna buy 2 imams.
Yep.
You've lost, right? Like, there's nothing you can do at that phase in the game. So, if I'm Divine, I shouldn't be engaging with this dance too long. It will hurt me if I do it for, like, the next 2 minutes.
It's really interesting that both players have just made their spears and they're just chilling.
Yeah, what?
They're just chilling. Everyone's made spearmen and we're all just hanging out, having a good old time.
It's the tricky part, because, like, in their minds, Divine's like, he might have gone for the military school, so he'll have, like, he can have a potential edge on the defensive. And the Mista's like, well, he has stone production, so he can have double production edge if he's defending. So instead, they're finally going to move out. Divine is heading over to check if there's a play onto docks. The moment he realizes there's not, he needs to keep his spearman at home. And he needs to get the initial ambush.
Yeah, and I guess it's just threatening any dock play, so like no one's gonna dock, but
I mean, if you dock, you lose.
You just have to keep
literally
checking.
lose. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't, right? So it's just
Where?
yeah, I guess we're here until we're not, right? So we're here
Bombs
until
on.
the players get enough food to age up. And
So-
Mista currently has slightly more food, but
How many sheep?
he's spending more.
Yeah, how much sheep matters as well here. Because, like, you know, if this turns into a huge slog, let's say we get 15 spearmen, for example, like that food drain is going to be critical. One thing that really went well for Divine is he's got a very condensed base, right? The risk here is if he does take a spearman clash and loses, Mista torches the Uva in the racks, and then you've just got no immediate response on tech up.
Yeah, Mista though burning a lot of his food, forced to go to the berries this early is really rough. And I just want to quickly say thank you, Sloan Runner, for the 5 gifted. We're halfway to the Jigglypuff impression.
Well,
it's on the
perfect
way,
game
boys.
for
I
it,
promise.
right? Because if there's a Dark Age spearman fight, we are all going to fall asleep.
No, we're not. I like it.
You actually like it?
It's fun.
Like you really like you like, oh, I could go and watch 5 hours of this at the movie. Just like spearmen stabbing each other.
I said the word Jigglypuff
Pruff?
impression, and someone immediately typed the B stream in the chat. All right, they're gonna leave us.
So
KP.
keeping with the, well, they just need us to get back to the theme. So you were saying you like this idea of very staunchly muscly men taking their long pole arms and thrusting them at each other over and over again in the Dark Age.
I don't know what's going on with you, KP, but there's sensing some like sexual tension or frustration.
I
Maybe.
mean,
You gotta chill.
I mean, they must be strong stabs because, like you said, you find them interesting. I personally find it boring, but it looks like Divine doesn't want to
it's
be
cool
part of that boredom.
It's cool because you have a unit on the field early, right? And they're doing something interesting usually, right? Like there is tension in this position right now, right? Like you have to be managing your units well. You have to make sure you don't go out of position. You have to keep track of what your opponent's doing at all times, right? Like it's fun. It can be.
Dude, he went metaverse. Like surprising considering like the imam potential, but like to value that, you have to actually fight, right? But now he's gonna. Jason, Divine, I mean, he's only halfway through the tech up. He might have to give over the Uvu here, which is a big loss for him if so.
How the meta are going to be coming in clutch. What's really fun about this is actually switching it to the armor. I don't know. Can we check which one he's on? Probably move speed for now, but the armor is actually really valuable in the Spearman mash.
Man, he needs to be so fast though.
He's on the armor. Yeah, the armor is so good.
Like, yeah, the problem here is he's going for the Uvu instead of the racks. This could actually lose him long term. So
No, but he just wins this fight. He has so much. Like,
No. But
what do you
the
do?
upgrade, the upgrade's coming through now. It's going to be Hardened Spearman versus Dark Age ones. Like, I think
That's
you could still
one
win.
damage.
So that offsets the armor, right? And you have more health.
Kind of.
Oh, this is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Man. He has to take the fight right now. Harden's going to come through, and now Mr. may need to retreat. Movement speed arrow means he can't even do that. He's locked in at this phase.
Oh
Mista
boy.
hemorrhaging a lot. Remember, defensive advantage also for DivineDFP. Divine, he's going to hold here. He's going to push back. And remember, Mista still hasn't teched up. He's got the resources, but he's so busy microing. He almost loses the meta, and he still hasn't begun his tech up.
Oh man, it's a mosh pit. Usually, yeah,
I
generally
thought this
there's a
excited
lot
you,
more like... No, it does. It's just, usually there's a lot more like micro involved
Yes.
here. Like in terms of like players using the entire map. Oh, losing the meta is huge.
Stick that in your micro, smoker. Jesus.
Oh, I jinxed it. I said usually there's micro. He tried to micro his units and immediately punished. Oh my gosh.
But that's the crucial element. Like, I like the fact you've highlighted that he's using
Well-
armor, but the fact that you're using armor, right, once the upgrade comes through, all the difference is that these hardened spearmen are tankier. That's literally it. And because you're playing against Mongols, you have to get the formation shuffle to leave faster. Doing that exposes your meta. And if you don't do that, as we saw with the movement speed arrow, Divine locks you into fighting anyway. Man, that's so tough. And think about this. He's been playing such a long Dark Age. His woodline is starting to move away from his TC. Like, Divine could potentially just die for this.
There's a lot going wrong here for Mista at this stage, right? Like, first off, he just had to age up with 12 vills, which is so expensive. Like, you get, like, the last 6 vills there are giving you, like, 20 seconds max, but costing you just, like, what, 100 res each to do that with? So it's really expensive to age up with that many vills because of the diminishing returns. And behind this early map control win, we see this villager coming across the map, and the dock is going to go down. He's going to have 2 docks even. So trying to really take like control after this big win at his Uvu, this is tricky for Mista. He's going to have to find something here, right?
Yep. We're going from Cox to Docks. I mean, this is the difference, right? This time Divine played the early game. What? Like, Chamber of Commerce. Get your mind out of the gutter. This is what I'm talking about, though. Look at the greed. He's playing double dock, right? This is similar to, like, the greedy element, but the difference this time is Divine addressed the early presence of Mista. He didn't just rush for his own source of greed, right? Like, it's such a smarter way to play the game. And now if you're Mista, what do? You try to switch archers. Divine's already a mile ahead of you. So now if you ever have to take a fight near the waterfront, your opponent not only has fishing advantage for food behind him, you can see he now also has archer ships. Mista's game is like, it's appropriate that there's a mountain in the middle of this because it feels like he's going uphill.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, right? Because, like, if your opponent can build docks without any contest, oh my gosh, these vills are in the craziest position I've ever seen.
I mean, that's an ambitious play for Deer.
And Matt Gare is researching Wheelbarrow. What is going on there? But they will live. Yeah, when your opponent's able to build docks like this and just be completely uncontested, if they just get like 3 airships out, you're not going to contest it. You're not going to be adding a dock of your own. And then they just fish boom to their heart's content. We're going to see, up to 10 fishing boats on this pond at some point, and Divine's position will just be so astronomically ahead.
And like, what's your comeback, right? Like, what do you do? Well, at this stage, the way that...
Dreams.
In your dreams?
I said you dream big. Like, you have big dreams. That's your comeback potential.
All right. Inspirational coaching wasn't on the menu for today, but I'll take it.
No, you gotta dream big in this position. I'm telling you. You gotta think.
Dude, you dream big, it's a big nightmare coming your way. Because if Divine gets the fishing online, what's your play? If you rush Castle Age, he can beat you there.
Yeah, that's true. A nightmare is definitely on the way as 7 archers, Mista's archer count trying to catch up. I mean, he'll have enough, I think, to defend this, but at what cost? Some of them are even out of position on the south side. That hunt in the north is pretty exposed. Oh boy. It's just a tricky game.
Yeah, like Divine, he's not adding in Keshix because, like, well, now get that dirty unit away from me. There's better uses for my money, like taking up first. But like, let's say he adds 2 or 3 Keshix potentially. Let's say he does that. Because you're playing these loose pocket egos, like, I don't know how you defend his Mista. You're running like south, north constantly, right? It's such a tough one because, like, the way that Divine played his TC at the beginning of the game has left him very condensed. And because he got Deerstone, something that I think a lot of players got used to not playing against, raids on even villages is very difficult now because of that movement speed.
Exactly. You feel so, like, secure when the Deerstones is in your base, keeping you safe, and you can see the scouting Falcon Use just to spot where's the army, right? It's a big question.
Does that
Where's
still
your army?
does that still block things? Like I remember it was blocking knights for a long time.
For a while, I think it could. I don't actually know. I don't think so
Dude, it's
anymore.
like
But
it's
maybe.
like you go into
I
a
don't know.
fight, you're like Pidgey use headbutt. It just literally stops charges. I love that. Oh man,
Oh man.
I need it again.
We just said, "Oh man," in sync. That was
We
pretty cool.
did. It was beautiful.
Second TC from Mista is going to be the play, just trying to catch up, contest the water with your own economy rather than with military. Spooky. Doesn't feel like the best play as the exposed economy in the north. That's only Spearman. These archers will have a field day in this fight.
Mista doesn't have wheelbarrow.
Yeah, Mista has to run.
He doesn't have wheelbarrow. This is the classic Mista. He likes to try and weave away from wheelbarrow. Probably going to cost him like 2 or 3 villages on the exit. But instead, Divine hits the A-click and chases the lumberjacks. He probably could have got more if he dove after the villies there. Wait, is that
was
Archer?
an
Okay,
That
it
was
wasn't
an
even
archer,
it.
Yeah.
Is it me or did it feel like he could have caught those villagers?
Did he use the arrow? The con arrow? I don't think so.
I don't think he did. I think he was a little bit paranoid.
Maybe he could have.
I don't think he knows what we know, which is he's this far ahead.
No, he should know. What?
I mean, you
What do you
know,
mean?
but you don't know how much.
Look, how do you look at this minimap and see, oh, I have 12 fishing boats. I might be behind. Who says that?
Hey, man, he might have more space.
What?
Okay, I'm trying to give him a way out. If you want to sell him upriver on this, yeah, I don't know why Divine isn't just going. Like, just dive, hit the A click and go.
Because diving would be dumb. There's a tower there.
But go
Like
past
this.
the tower.
Look, he did it. This
Dude.
is Caster's curse. This is
Dude,
what you get for saying
if
that.
he
He's
went-
gonna lose units.
If he'd done that with the 8 villages on the D originally, he takes out 3 on the retreat. And he loses like 4 units to do it. Is that not worth?
But they traded 1 for 1. So fine for Mista.
By the way, news just in, Recon was able to reverse sweep against Kiljardi. Incredible performance there.
Oh,
And that was one he needed, remember. Like, that's a crucial one. Recon now looking like he should be able... In fact, I think he's guaranteed now, right? To be 2nd place, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that confirms it. I'm just getting this in
Wait, no,
right
we
now
got
from the president. Recon is the best trash panda in
There's
AV4.
one more round. So, like, there's a very small % chance that one of these 2 players could beat him. Because, admittedly, I think Recon hasn't got many points in the tiebreaker format. But it's looking pretty solid. Swiss format. We're going to get into trying to figure that one out again. It's our favorite part, Winston.
You said that as you dropped a pen. Hilarious. You just like flipped it, dropped it. We're gonna figure that out later. Smack.
I ain't got a
Pen
pen
hits
to
the
write
floor.
down the numbers right now. Sorry, guys. Oh, but
So Steppered out coming in the castle age. This is how far ahead he is. He's going to be up to castle, I don't know, 2 minutes earlier, 3 minutes earlier. And if Mista has to train units to defend this, it's going to be
he's
infinitely
doing
earlier because,
farms. Like,
I mean, what can he do? He has to transition.
Oh, no, I
he has
get
to
it,
macro.
but
he has
like-
to play the game.
but like that's how grim it is.
That's
what I'm
that's
trying
a
to get
big fish.
at. Sorry, can we just go back to that fish, zoom in? I just want to get Winston on replay. That's a big fish.
Yeah, it's a big one. So Stepford out gonna amplify this economy even further. So this lead just like became astronomical, right? Now he's got what feels like infinite food, about to feel like infinite gold as well. So the upgrades are gonna come in. Looks like siege engineering on the way. So maybe we're gonna see a ram push.
Is
Likely going to see a ram push here. Or was that advanced improved siege engineering? No, that was just normal.
no,
so just rams.
no, it's just ramification.
I missed that meta where Mongols would get improved siege engineering
Do you
and just
really?
make Springles and Mingles. No, I really didn't like that meta.
He's like, I
But it would be
designed
fun
it.
to see it.
Just runs
Hey,
off.
hey, hey. Hey.
Oh.
Watch it there,
Hey,
bud.
there's
Okay.
no need for hay. There's only 2 Sapai. They're well fed. But
The horses are eating a lot of... No, never mind. Wrong fish.
they need to be plump and fat to defend against this army. Like, here's an interesting thought for you, because we didn't even discuss it. He didn't go up with a Mehmed Imperial Armory.
Mm-hmm.
Istanbul Palace. Not something we see that often.
Yeah, Mista's been talking about how... I've heard him talk about this a bit, that he thinks it's really good because it gives you faster VPs. And some of the VPs can be really powerful. A lot of players tend to prefer the mangonels, though. Like, Tree Siege just feels good to use. But in this position, maybe he's afraid that Divine will just have the edge in Siege anyway. And so maybe Mista's thinking he needs to get value elsewhere, right? It's not really going to come from the Janissary VP, right? So I don't know what that would do for him.
Well,
I don't know. It's gonna be more mill schools, I guess.
speaking of points, let's get paid in eco points here. Farms built on the front line. Yes, please, says a Mongol player. Rams seem to be joining in the charge instead of attacking the TC. Haven't seen that very often, but I guess they just want the military school instead. Now the attack speed arrow is going to come out. Upgrade comes through as well. DivineDFP with the upgraded archers. The mass that's here to defend from Mista is not impressive. Archer upgrade isn't in just yet. Even with that meta attack speed buffer, I don't know how he cleans up the initial men-at-arms.
So he sent the Janissaries, and there's still a huge mass of archers, so the Jans are going to get cleaned up here, but they will deal with the men-at-arms before they go.
But the TC
That's
went down.
a lot of vills pulled for the Rams.
Yeah, and the archers are targeting them down. No textiles either. Mista taking heavy losses here. The Eco League continue to build for Divine.
Yeah, that was a good trade economically for Divine, but I mean, maybe that military engagement could have gone a bit better for him. He only killed 5 vills. He did kill the TC, which is a huge loss, but maybe he's okay with that. And he's still snowballing his economy, but
exactly
could have gone a little bit better. That was a decent fight. Mista had more man-at-arms than I think Divine anticipated. And without any crossbows, Divine didn't really have a counterplay to those at the start.
And that's the value of also having the racks in there, because I think he force-produced some of those, right? But like the other wacky part is I think Divine, where he kind of tripped over himself there, is he had perfect position to take out the TC immediately, and he ran past towards the military school. And you know how clowny Rams are, right? It's honestly, it's like a human centipede sometimes. Watch them. It's like, just split up and go. Instead, they're just shuffling off over each other. I think he hit the military school like once before having to retract. Crazy to think that if he just taken the TC out first, he might have been able to wallop this military school, at least down to being burned.
Yeah, it would have been nice for him, but we'll see. He still has such a sizable lead. The fish, though, probably have become less efficient because they're starting to get oversaturated, right? Like, can we check the fish real quick? Oh, well, there's about to be a fight. Maybe not. The villagers leading the charge.
That village about to get shot like a fish in a barrel. So there's your fish. And Springald, though, we'll return to Age of Springald here. I don't think Divine has actually realized yet that this is not an Imperial army. This is kind of big brain from Mista. In a way, he's just baited him, right? Because you would expect Free Siege to be coming out. So you invest in these Springalds that just become glorified archers. Damage at least helps a little. Archers continue to tickle away at this. Stunning placements are helping Mista buffer this away. So the Springalds are coming in clutch. So
those men-at-arms just got wrecked, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, look, we're almost out of fish. So basically, these are they're going to be a lot of back and forth here. Until he's going to have to situate them onto the shorefish, but that's less efficient. And again, it'll be like very short term. So that pond is roughly over in the next 5 minutes, where maybe that could mean Mista's land economy has a chance to kind of catch up. But we'll see. It's definitely tricky. He's going out to the boar on the east there.
He's for sure going to run out of fishes.
Okay, there's a lot of shorefish still.
Yeah, but like, how many boats? Is that 15? I want to say fishing boats. 500 post-shore. It's not going to last long. So he's got to make something happen because in Mista, yes, they're both 1 CC now. Yes, there's an eco lead for Divine. But remember, most of that is in fishing. After that, Mista's going to have land eco advantage in a situation where he's also got passive production. So long term, he can fare better than Divine. Wait, is he moving step? Okay, thank God. I was like, why are you at 50 gold income? You built step read out. He's just moving towards the central deposits. So that's going to
Yeah, he's had a lot of gold to play with this game. It's felt really good. Yeah, like you were saying, the Springald's not really going to have a ton of advantage here, although Divine now adding trebuchets and mangonels behind this. So he's going full siege here to siege this down, and it's just more and more resources for the Mongols, right? This raid bounty always feels good when you're in this position of power as Mongols, because you can it feels like you just snowball the game in your favor so quickly.
And I love that we are now midway through Castle Age, and still Mongols have not built a single Keshik, or in this case, Kekwix. Wonder why.
They're kind of bad in this matchup, right? Because you're just fighting into Jans, right? Like, why add Cav at this stage when your opponent's already showed 8 Jans? Like, they're just going to melt any cavalry you have.
Definitely.
Unless you get this huge mass of them, which feels like a bit of a bait as well.
Nice little raid round the side here. Will block Divine off the gold. That's crucial. Think about what's being built here by Divine, right? He's been going to crossbows, adding in more siege, men-at-arms even. Cost a pretty penny over time. But in the meantime, Divine continues to dive into the base, onto the military schools, something that Mista might be forced to defend, but still doesn't feel like his army is sizable enough to do so.
Mista being so patient here, KP. He's letting this burn down. He's waiting for this timing. He's down only 14 military units, so if the matchup's good, he has the meta as well, which is a force multiplier, and with the stepper out, you don't have the curl tie on the field for
hero?
the Mongols. So this fight could actually end up going very well for Mista if the micro looks good, and he's just gonna have to retreat
Love that one
back
tree.
to his towers.
Protecting the siege.
He does have.
Shot comes out. That's a big shot as well. Mista needs to think about this. He's actually still clustered up.
He's not fighting. He's just not fighting.
What?
Oh boy.
What? Oh, what was that Maganel shot? What?
Oh, this was super good for Mista, I think. It's kind of tough to read.
I can't.
It's a lot of man-at-arms still.
I mean,
it's still 20 man-at-arms. That's a sticky army.
But they're going to get kited. That's the problem now, right? Like, the Yan, it doesn't connect too much. There's, like, the outpost now forward. All right, we're good. Apologies, folks. We're back. Today is going well.
We unpaused, and it just immediately. Okay, well.
I can't. Like, this day is it's a roller coaster, but it's a roller coaster that Divine rides to a win. So now this series gets a little bit spicy. 1-1 on the board. Divine. What a performance in this one, actually. Really impressed by him.
I think so much of this game, though, came down to the Spearman mosh pit. So much of it. All of the pressure on the map, all of the decisions after Feudal Age, after the start of Feudal Age, came down to the fact that Mista lost the first Spearman fight. He lost it very decisively. He was down, there were 9 spears still on the field for Divine, and he used that map control, added the docks, got the fish boom, had a more comfortable cancel time. Everything worked for him. And what did Mista have to show for it? He tried to macro back into the game. It's funny because the fish were just basically tapped. Like, those fishing boats were a lot less efficient than they were before. So maybe there was some chance for Mista, but I mean, that fight was really devastating for him, and he wasn't quite able to close it out. The micro just wasn't there. There was that period of time where he was kind of dodging the one mangonel with his entire army the entire time. I think if he had been able to just attack into that more aggressively and just punch that mangonel down faster, maybe it could have worked. Maybe he needed one Springald. Like, I don't know. It's tricky. It was a really tough time for him, but yeah, that last fight ended up being really decisive for Divine, who also had the economy to back it up and still man-at-arms on the field. Really tricky position there.
Like, one of the really tough parts to think about towards the end of that game is, like, you know, when you said, like, great patience from Mista, you know, I'm sounding about to throw you under the boat. But don't worry, it's a boat, so you can just dive. But, like, the weird part about that moment is, like, we've seen that before where someone's like, okay, I'll sacrifice the arm to save the body. They've got more production going on. We have to remember that practically all of Mista's production was in the area that he was giving over, right? So he's actively losing his military schools, his blacksmith, his production buildings entirely. So, like, this idea of, like, a delayed reboom is tough. The only kind of delayed reboom you have is the Janny pull, but you've already committed to that, like, a minute beforehand. It's really a tough one. Like, I agree. It came down to the Spearman. It just shows you the difference it can make. I love the detail you highlighted that he went for the armor instead, which is great there. But the reality is, as we highlighted at the time,
he got hardened.
Yeah. And then once you're hardened, you know, you've negated the extra armor and you just have extra health. It's a losing battle at that point. But
yeah, I wonder if something went wrong with Mista's Dark Age build order. If he maybe got a little too caught up in the Spearman micro and didn't macro ideally or something. I wonder if something went wrong because his age up was really late and he built it with 12 villagers. Like, that seemed a bit like panic, like something had gone wrong and Mista had to fix it. Remember, I think during the Spearman fight, we were like, oh, he could age up now. I was like, he could still age up now. He has enough resources to age up, and he just wasn't because the fight was kind of preoccupying him because it was, like we saw, the fight was really important, right? But maybe if he had been up a little bit faster, he could have done a little bit better in that one.
And the crazy part is, like, with him being more focused on micro, I felt like he lost more, right? Like, it seemed very apparent to me that DivineDFP had more or less hit A-click, and he was fine with that, right? Like, he was just A-clicking because he could swipe the fight. Meanwhile, Mista tries to be a bit more micro-intensive, ends up even losing the meta on the exit. That's a huge loss at the beginning of Feudal Age. Even on a delay, sure, you're going to be there eventually, then you want to have that meta, you get stagnated. One thing that maybe could have changed things for Mista, it's a bit risky because you have to dive deeper. You have to go for that Rax. You can't open on the Uvu. If you get rid of the Rax, you at least prevent the upgrade into Hardened. And then it's a fight you can potentially win.
I see what you're saying. So he should have dove the Rax. Maybe he didn't know how close to... No, he should have known that the TC wasn't that close. Yeah, like... I guess you just risk yourself kind of getting sandwiched, maybe. The positioning could get awkward.
Yeah. It kind
When
of,
another note is the deer stones were right there as well.
yes.
So as soon as that feudal came, he had both the con arrow for move speed and the deer stone. So there was no way you were escaping if you were close, right? So he had to just take the fight.
Definitely a
Hmm.
tough one. But, I think Mista in his mind, he probably felt like the rest of that game was playing an uphill battle. So maybe it didn't tilt him too much. He tried to find a way back, but he knew his back was going against the wall. But DivineDFP, definitely a big morale boost for him. Remember what we said, either of these players, there's still a very, very slim chance that they can qualify, because I think there's still a round 6 to play, if I'm not mistaken. But Recon has definitely made it harder now, being 4 wins, 1 loss overall, be up at 5. There's no question about it. He's definitely going through. But Killjoy and Divine, Killjoy now losing and bringing down to 3-2. Like, Divine and Mista have a way to kind of tickle at the feet there. I think it's like, I don't know what the probability is, less than like 8% chance that one of them qualifies. But, I'd take that over not having my fate in my own hands any day.
Exactly. Exactly. Well said. We're now a minute off from the next game potentially starting. So we got Malians versus HRE here. Malians with Mista and HRE with Divine. I
Comfort
said that
pick.
backwards intentionally. It's supposed to be like weird, but it's supposed to be like edgy and cool,
Well,
but it probably didn't come across very well.
it's kind of like you
But
rebalancing the logic, right? Because humans, they read top left to top right to bottom right to bottom left. So you're like, well, if I read top left and then go bottom left, I'm breaking the natural order of things. I respect it.
mhm.
Something I do respect is Divine. He just took a great win, but he's not going to play away from his comfort. He's going to go back to it. I feel like this has to be his second or third most played Civ at this point. Divine absolutely loves HRE. He had a very long time where he was grinding the crap out of Delhi, but HRE has always been up there as something he loves to exploit. Question is whether it can exploit regions when up against a vicious force like the Malians themselves. A Civ that isn't a stranger to its own greed, but also has the presence in Feudal Age to block your HRE greed objectives.
Really interesting here, though, on this map is that second gold mine position for the players or your second 4K can be really far on this map. So that's where it's really awkward as Malians. If you have to protect, like, way out in the boonies, some random pit mine because it's your only other pit mine unless you're in the middle of the map, it can be really tricky. And so we'll see how Mista handles that. Maybe he'll get a good map gen, and that could kind of make the Malian feudal age very clear cut what he's supposed to do. We've seen a lot with the Donso Jav defense in this tournament so far. Just defend 2 pit mines, Calboom, Castle Age, out macro, right? But we'll see. Divine maybe has some strat up his sleeve with HRE, like you were saying. Really
Definitely,
interesting.
definitely a Civ he knows really well. Like I said, top 3 Civs most played for him at this stage. The Mista, this is not your Wallalow Mista where Marlians is a shrug and just a throwaway Civ. This man knows this Civ very well, as we've seen already in this tournament. Let's see who's going to be able to take the lead in this best of 5 as we hop into game number 3.
Mm-hmm. And here we go. Here we are. Interesting second scout for Divine. Just wants to highly valuing the sheep on this map.
Not a bad play, right? Because if you're going to play your typical HRE greed, you need those sheep because you gather faster, but that means you run out of safe resources faster. Then on the flip side, for the Malians, that might force Mista to go into cattle faster than he otherwise wanted to, which leaves more greed in his build than he otherwise wants, right? Which equals less javelins, less aggressive units up in your face.
Yeah. What I like to think about with this map is the reason why I prefer, I would prefer to make a second scout in a lot of situations is because because there's only one deer patch close to you, you're far less likely to have a TC that has deer on it, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to make sure you're going to have that deer patch secured, right? Not just with the TC, but just in general, right? So it's one of those things where, yeah, because you're not necessarily going to have that second deer patch like you would on Dry Arabia, it's just important to make sure you have enough sheep, especially for a civil like HRE, which is so dependent on having enough sheep to sustain them before, they start farming around the Aachen, that could be a really tricky part about their transitions, especially if they try to go castle, right? That's, you're using 5 sheep just to age up, right? And then you have to make units, so it's like, okay, every sheep here is super valuable. That's why I like the second scout with HRE.
Yeah, especially like if you, it's kind of tricky because you are giving up 1.4 villagers at a certain phase in the game. But the reality is, if you get enough sheep, that even offers up a Burgrave build potentially. Like, you know, it's a bit of a wonky one. I think its success rate must be pretty low at this phase. But let's say you get 80% of the sheep on the map. Because of that element of greed Mr. has to now take in getting new food sources, there is potency in that play.
Potency indeed. And we can see that gold mine for Divine. Divine is pretty close, but Mista, look at his second gold mine.
That's...
Look how far that is. It's in the middle of the dang map. So Malian's playing one pit mine in feudal always feels awkward. So he's going to try and make this work, but there's no real close option. He's going to have to find a way to keep that safe while applying pressure on the map. And look at his deer kind of on the opposite side and also forward. So that also kind of equally feels off the table. This is going to be a very awkward game for Mista potentially. Walling that right side here from the forest to the other forest to the relic wall. Like, maybe that's his play, wall there, and just kind of play up a bit towards the stones and the gold there.
You know,
but yeah, this is spicy.
I feel like the pattern we've been seeing in this tournament so far is the gold placements for Malian players has been pretty pitiful. I know. But stand with me on this, right? Like, there's been plenty of matchups where, like, a perfect example is Dumu versus Wham in that Malian mirror, where Dumu had a terrible second gold placement, but he still managed to just kind of eke out a win. We've seen multiple times that with a lack of easy gold access, Malians are still a Civ that can bounce back. There's a force to be reckoned with within this Civ, and the crazy part to me is how it kind of just keeps evolving, right? You remember the days when we just had mass scouts and it was a meme. You remember the days when we had mass Soph and mass archers. Now we're talking about a time when we've got javelins, donzos. It's kind of wild to think of the variance that this build, the builds are for this Civ that they can access and still look really strong with.
Yeah, Malians, and their roster, it feels like it's just like brimming with opportunity, if I can say so myself. Like it feels like really there's so many different combinations and they're really well at, like it's kind of about balance, right? And how the meta currently is, right? Like a lot of that is because certain things accented certain strats, right? Like obviously people made a lot of warrior scouts because they were really, really strong. But now looking at a more balanced composition, it feels like they can kind of do anything in a lot of situations.
Yeah, it's one of those really kind of funky things where scouting becomes even more important, that whole idea of a second scout. I mean, we joke that maybe he just got the second scout so he can beat a warrior scout. There you go, big brain. But it's the fact that when you're up against a Civ that has so much flexibility, from a player who's known for his off-the-script, non-meta builds, that extra scout can be crucial, right? To see the early raids coming in, but also to know what's coming next.
And still 2 more sheep coming in even, so that's really nice. Oh, a lot more sheep. So yeah, Divine's 2 scout play really played off here in terms of the sheep count. That's going to make you feel really comfortable. But now he kind of has to play really safe against these warrior scouts. Yeah. So he has to be smart.
He will be able to because he's playing condensed, right? Like that wood line is a little bit exposed, so maybe 1 or 2 small funnel palisades would be great. But this does look like your typical fast castle build for him. Meanwhile, Mista... Are we?
It's a blast from the past from Divine. HRE Warrior Prof Scouts build.
But against... this
against
is mass
Malians.
Scouts. Yeah, mass Malian scout. This is not going to work.
This is going to... He has to recognize and cancel this now, basically, right? Like, he's not too committed yet, right?
Like he's not going to get away from being too committed.
No, it takes a while. He's got another 20 seconds, maybe. 15.
10.
I'm gonna not count. I'm not gonna count. I'll let you count.
We're down to 7, 6, 5. Dude, he's not canceling. Okay, like he's.
Oh, he's committing to this.
Wow.
And Mista seems to like no, man. Mista is aware of this.
This is really, really bad. He's going into Spearman, so that should give him breathing room. But like, okay, here's always my issue with the Pro Scouts play. If it ends up just netting you 1 deer stack, is it worth it?
Yeah, food's really important. I think it's worth it. I mean, it depends on how much you have to invest into getting it, right? Like, if it's completely uncontested, yeah. But if you're making tons of spearmen to fight and defend the deer patch,
it's the full process that your early investments are compounding, right? Like, if you spend, was it 350, if I remember correctly, for Pro Scouts? We see it so rarely, I forget. 350 this early on in the game, even as the HRE, is a very big chunk away from other potential avenues like Fast Castle. right? Especially if you're up against a Civ that greedily builds up this passive economy like the Malians with the Cow, but right now with the pit mines, which, by the way, he's building his second pit mine now, knowing that Divine will not come out because he's invested in Spears.
Yeah, and he's going to get his first steer in. He's got survival techniques behind this, so he can slurp that up. And this passive play really opens up Mista's map, right? As we see, he's now going for that second pit mine. That's really far forward that, you know, it might not be so good. And he's getting a big cattle boom
This
in.
is so wild. Like, is it me or is he outgreeding HRE?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, if he can get the full deer patch in, that FC is going to be here so fast, right?
Yes.
And that's when Mista needs to be prepared for the follow-up because Prof Scouts are not going to, or sorry, Warrior Scouts are not going to cut it against Knights, right? So you need something.
But you feel the delays, right? Like, because it's quite often, if you're going for fast calls to HRE, you don't even get wheelbarrow, right? Because that just slows you down. He's also got wheelbarrow. He's got pro scouts. He's got survival techniques. On a delay, these will pay for themselves, but the cost is that really efficient timing. And keep in mind, on a delayed timing now, you're going to be going for that tech up. You're going to be trying to play out into relics in a situation where Mista has more potential military for you to clash with, right? That's one of the big edges of fast castles. You get there so fast, it feels like you slurp up 1 or 2 relics without any conflict.
Yeah, and Mista's not going to be afraid of just trading HP on the Warrior Scouts to kill these prelates early on if it is a ploy for the relics, which I feel like Regnitz makes a lot of sense here because his feudal army is enough to scare away Mista right now. Mista not showing a huge force. I would feel comfortable right now going for Regnitz, but who knows? Maybe this is like some Burgrave play. You have a ton of food under your TC. Like, maybe you just Burgrave and rush, right? Like, get some man-at-arms out. What is... It's tricky, though, against Malians, right?
Yeah. Like think about the build he's done, Winston, right? Like, he built 2 stables and a racks. Like, at that type of investment level, potential to also invest in another one before you tech up. Yeah, and he is. You don't go Burgrave. Like, once you have 2 racks, it's just such a trash item. Yeah, so Regnitz is going to be the choice.
The Regnitz is good. And I think he'll get 1 relic. Yeah, he'll get 1. Probably 2.
I mean, it's more efficient, right? Like, the Regnitz allows you to get that more gold. So, like, compared to the normal relic value, it's high. So, you know, you shouldn't turn your nose up at 1. But it doesn't beat the passive income of a Malian player, even if they are stuck in feudal for longer.
He's escorting a prelate over to the left there. He wants to make sure he can secure 1 of the relics. It might not be, though.
Is that the whole army, though? That's, like, very dangerous to do here.
So he doesn't even have a prelate with him. Oh, he's just going for the deer.
Oh.
I see. Escorting the scouts to the deer.
You're not getting that home for free. He does outnumber these Donzos, so can chase them down at least. But now the scouts are showing up, so probably going to get blocked there. This makes me worry. Can we check DivineDFP's food at home? Because, like, this kind of feels like a desperate play towards necessary food income, right? And I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he has plenty of food.
What, 6
he's got plenty.
Okay, so he's good for this. He's just trying to pad himself long term. It will allow him to inflate a lot of men-at-arms plus knights, and they are pricey on the food anyway.
He's going to walk away with 1 deer.
He's not.
Oh.
He'll walk away with 1 less scout. And on the other side, it looks like a throwaway of a few units by Mista. Chooses to take the clash before the Spearman can get upgraded. They're not even going to be upgraded. They're just going to be sacrificed. It's simply a men-at-arms plus heavy cav play. Bold. Remember that Mista does have a potential answer to this. You are playing the Malians. They do like to get a bit of armor piercing in there. He needs to think about that tech up first.
First relic getting snagged in the north corner of the map. That's the safe one for Divine, so probably expected that at some point he'll get this in. Looks like it'll be nice and early for him, which is good, as he'll need that to support this night production.
And how many cow? He has to be like 5,
I think he's fully boomed. No, he's fully boomed.
All right, so...
He's up to... I think he was on 18 at least on the cattle.
Holy mother of cow.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep. Whew. That's going to feel good. That food income. That's going to allow him to match cavalry for cavalry if he chooses. And those sofas are frustratingly tanky, right? Like that. I think the scale at which you can boom into them is going to potentially outmass Divine in like 4 minutes. He needs to get more of these relics while he's got time.
Yeah, but that time is running thin. Looks like a prelate's about to get sniped. Oh, that's a man-at-arm going to the relic to safeguard. On the minimap, they kind of look like a prelate heading right for it. But yeah, bold claim.
He's just a distraction. It's okay. You can just go for a relic elsewhere. No, it has to do this one. He's bringing a villager. Wait, is he going to... Was that a misclick? Oh, that's a costly misclick.
He's got units sneaking around everywhere.
This villager is just dressed like a prelate, right? Like you grab him, it's like a Scooby-Doo moment. You just pull off his beard. It's like, damn it, we found the real one.
If it weren't for you and your lousy warrior scouts,
I would have got away with it too.
I would have gotten away. Oh boy,
Ugh.
losing knights is costly here. Expensive loss.
This is a really sticky start for HRE. He'll at least get 2 relics, but you know, it's 2 relics versus probably 3 could go the way of Mista. He's got the passive gold as well. I feel like he kind of evens up, especially in a world where Divine is going to start running out of food at home, right? I know I said it a minute ago, but now for realsies, he hasn't picked up any additional deer since that point.
Yeah, he just got totally gassed. It's really interesting to go for prof scouts on a map with only 1 close deer. I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. He's going to give up the scouts.
Ooh.
What?
Okay.
Headshot.
There's no head left with that many in it. Jeez.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was rough for that prelate. He got 2 scouts, I guess, off the back of it, but now the knights coming could potentially look to take an engagements against that many. Not feeling confident in it.
You sure you want to take that? You don't
No,
know when the
you
upgrades
don't,
come
but
through.
yeah, you don't want to, but like, kind of on a timer, right?
I just love it. Like, honestly, once again, I need the voice lines. I think it really should just be "Get off my lawn" in Malian.
Eat this.
Suck on this. So many good lines, man. Just sell them all. $5 a piece. Upgrade comes through.
Boy.
These are very effective, these upgrades, if you fight with them. Did he just try and kill the lag?
Yeah, he's trying to kill the Landsknecht. I mean, it is the biggest threat in this fight. There's 2 of them. He simply can't take it. If the Landsknecht gets 1 or 2 hits off here, it's really, really good.
Oh, man. And he went mass Musafadi.
There's 3 now.
Like, the Langs just... They're MVPs here. And he's only now prepping for archers on a delay. He's going to forfeit a lot of map control. Like, this is switched up. I think Divine could hoover up 4 relics now.
Yeah, this is looking a lot better for him. And now the Landsknecht going to get some big hits in.
At what
And
stage
this army's on the run.
Like, at what stage do you just split this into 2 or 3 groups to minimize casualties, right? Because, like, at this rate, you're all going to the same place. You're right. It's just that place is hell.
Well, we'll see how big the army is here because Mista has equal numbers here.
This is dicey. The Lanks are on the backside. It's the worst case scenario after you throw the javs out. A few Donzos go in. Hello. Not a bad
There's
raid.
men-at-arms there to defend.
And Mustafadi coming. They're not stealthed, but Divine might be distracted, dealing with his own base, and now he'll walk right past
that
and
could be
find the
huge.
berries. Chase away, body blocks as well.
Instant reaction.
Guys,
And he looks like he has
let me out, let me out, let me out.
You can just hear the panic in that guy.
It's like, if I just rub up against this bush hard enough, I'll set fire to it, you'll burn. I don't know what that village was doing.
That was weird. But moving on. Yeah, now we have archers in to snipe the Landsknecht, but he's going to have to spot them. They're kind of tricky to see. I think he's gotten all of them. So now the fight could be taken. Yeah, the fight could go in favor of Mista here now.
I mean, it's still men-at-arms, though, right? Like, if you pull the knights off, just let the MAA stand here. That's missing what
He's got a lot of Musafadi.
Still, is it going to be good enough? I feel like this is the
Not
fight
enough,
Divine
yeah.
wins. Yeah, it's like it's quality over quantity, especially in a situation where you're matched on quantity. And that raid on the other side, like, what did it kill in the end? 2 villages, I think? Maybe 3 before he had to retreat?
It's 2.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. But the knight count kind of got traded down. Like, there's only 4 knights here.
Do you
Like,
want to keep pushing knights long term, though? Right? Like, you already see Musafadi, and there was Donzos. Kind of feels like maybe you should be transitioning away from this. More men-at-arms, more Lansk, maybe? Damn, that's serious damage. 15 idle villages. The army's still going to tank for a while longer. And that's only level 1 blacksmith ranged upgrades, right? That's impressive. And behind this, we have to remember, Divine was able to get 3 relics. A 4th one is close to his base. He did get sniped out by the Musafadi running home. But he will eventually get 4 relics, which is going to give him a phenomenal amount of gold income to match the Malian double pit mine.
Ooh, and a knight makes it to the wood line and no one's noticed. Well, Divine probably noticed. Oh, good reaction there from Mista after 2 go down, though. It is painful. A 3rd might fall as well.
The idle time as well. Like, the amount of time they're just running around like headless chickens in a situation where you're now matched on village account. You know, we have to consider that HRE, I mentioned the gold and how both these cities get a lot of passive gold. The difference maker is still going to be these farms now set up by DivineDFP. That when you consider the buffed gathering rate, it kind of balances out against this ridiculous cattle gathering, right?
Yeah, it can kind of counteract it a bit. It's very tricky though. The cattle are very, very efficient. Like, look at the food bank that Mista's sitting on.
Wait, is he going imperial?
For what?
Hand cannon?
Mista was talking about Mista was talking a lot about how he thinks the Griot Bara is really, really strong. And it is actually. I don't think he's intentionally saving this. I think this is just he doesn't have enough golden wood to support his cattle boom, like with unit production.
Yeah.
Does he have poison arrow yet? Probably not, right?
I don't think so.
No, they'd be purplish, right? So no.
So tricky still to deal with the MAA. In the meantime, it looks like we are going to be getting Inspired Warrior buff soon. That's going to be phenomenal here. It's a great tech when you go Langsneck because it essentially turns the damage output of your Castle Age Langsk into Imperial Age.
Big upgrade if you can use it, right? You kind of have to have a bunch of prelates around and they have to kind of inspire everybody, so it can be a bit tricky, but when you have 4 relics like this, you can just kind of afford to keep the regnets pumping, right? And it keeps your macro, it keeps your float low, so it feels like you're doing well. And yeah, it's definitely going to be really good here in this situation, especially with the burst damage from the Lanchneck, like you mentioned.
Is that Mist from Mist? He's getting under mesh level 2. I guess this is for diving the defenses because Divine isn't exactly building ranged units here.
I think it's just habit, right?
Yeah.
In almost every matchup, getting the ranged armor first is like really, really good.
True.
Like rarely is it the worst upgrade. In this situation, it might be the worst to get, but I don't know. It's still really good against TCs and stuff, right? Like it's just so good.
It does still feel weird when you look at his tech upgrades and see that he has no melee defense upgrades against the full melee army. That part a little bit more dicey.
I kind of wonder if Mista is trying to get to Imp here. Like a sneaky Imp.
Yeah.
Because the Griot Bara does a lot of surprising things that I think people still haven't fully untapped the potential of what that landmark can do.
Yes.
And Mista was talking to me about it, and I think I agree.
Yeah, I think it has some interesting ones. The one that gets discussed a lot, I think, is the siege damage, right? Like that's actually pretty incredible if you're going for a dive. But I just like the military unit production, actually. Like when you're moving in, let's say you want to make a hand cannon near transition, you got a bunch of archer ranges. Usually that's really awkward at the start of a tech up, but due to Griot Bara, it's almost seamless because of how fast they produce.
And I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure the military production works on TCs. So, like, basically all of your TCs become, like, super speedy production. That's, like, I think that's why the Fast Imp can be really good. And I think that's what Mista's aiming for here. Like, I think he might be trying to, like, macro while also getting a cheeky age up here. And suddenly your Vil count can skyrocket. It's like having a, like, it's kind of like you just get the Swabia briefly.
Yeah. Do you know what's insane about this? Is, like, look at the resource bank Mista's holding. Look at the military. He's against the HRE.
This is a massive army. But to be honest, 14 inspired Lanchneck are enough to do a lot of damage here.
They have
the
to
Mustafati can quickly die.
That's why he's
there's a lot of archers.
They need to target them down though. Line formation chase, second wave coming in. This is a bait, it's a trap. Mista with the backstab on the side. Divine just needs to get the hell out. Woo!
Oh, it didn't quite work. Mista could have maybe turned a little earlier, but really respecting these Lanchnecks, and he doesn't want to engage the Mustafati if he doesn't have to. He's just going to use the archers to kite. He's in line formation here. Going to need to focus down these Lanchnecks. If he doesn't, he's going to engage with the Mustafati, but dude, the Lanchnecks are going to have a field day.
No, they're not, because they're the last one to get in range. They were body blocked by the men-at-arms and the knights. It's an absolute massacre. Divine loses everything, and Mista is ready to plow on through.
He said, you have the relics, well, I got the heart, man. That was insane. His production kicked online. He has enough for us to go imp. Behind this. This is insanity from Mista. This is insanity. 76-3 military. There is no chance for Divine in this situation. His army just got walloped to the point of oblivion and beyond. Gonna try and hold with this, but no, he doesn't. He taps out. That was insane. The Mista's army got so big, so fast.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
Well, floating enough, like almost enough for imp.
I
for like
wanted it.
5 minutes.
I wanted it. Like you saw, I was too excited at the end. I want to see. I want to see that an immediate like activation of the siege, because that man, he was just burning a torch for all the Mista fans in the chat, hoping to see him take the lead. He does exactly that. And I mean, I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna reiterate that last few minutes of the game, he was tripling the military production in the HRE while floating enough to go Imperial Age. That is ridiculous. It shows you just how potent the Malian economy can be. And part of it is also attributed to the early exchanges that Mista was fantastic at to set himself up, right? Delaying the relics from being hoovered up, blocking any extension out, that wonky investment into pro scouts that only netted one deer stack. All these small details, Mista was phenomenal to utilize against his opponent and then turn it into a ridiculous military lead. Just look at that chart at 16 minutes after the throwaway army.
It's disgusting. It's like everything worked, and then he just went into overdrive, and then boom, 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 we are here. Impressive stuff from Mista there. Really showcasing why Malians are so good. He was one of the earlier pioneers of the of the of the cattle boom and what the corral can do. He was one of the early pioneers when everyone was saying, no. The gold barracks. This is the way you play the Civ. He was trying some builds even in tournament games with the corral. I think eventually he realized that, it's not quite the same, but since the changes to it, I mean, Malians really just showcasing their really powerful economy and why they've been picked so heavily favored here, as Roos is generally the ban. Malians are open a lot of the times.
And this is the interesting thing about Lansk as well. Like, just to highlight that, because you kept mentioning the Lansk. Like, you're correct in mentioning that way. Like, they are a super weapon on land, right? They can turn a fight in the swing of a sword. But the way that I would describe the Lansk is there's a deceptive element where people think that Lansk ups the micro requirement of their opponent. You are correct, but it also ups your own micro requirement. And we saw a pristine example of that in the final fight when he A-clicked in and all of his men at arms and his knights blocked any opportunity for the Lanks to just wail on his opponent. Definitely big credit to Mista in the way he microed, but it shows you that micro of the Lanks goes both ways. It's not a one-way affair.
Yeah, generally when I think of like really good Landsknecht play, I really like seeing it paired with Horsemen. And I think it's in a lot of the reason is just because the Horsemen have this way of like pushing forward and forcing a fight at a cost that you can afford to lose them in, because you're going to take losses because your opponent has to kite away, because if the opponent fights, it's rough. But I think pairing them purely with mostly man at arms, there were a couple knights there, but like you called out in the mid game, like he doesn't really want to keep making knights, especially Knight Landsknecht is incredibly hard to afford, especially in Castle Age like that, like where they don't have this huge economy with the Swabia yet. So it's like really hard to afford both lands and knights. So he went with like this man at arm Landsknecht and a couple of other unit play, and it just didn't really pan out, having no ranged units and no way to deal with the poison archers. It forced him to take this really, really tough engagement, and that's where we saw the Musafati swarm just come and collapse. It was a big bear hug of death, and down went Divine's army. It was so fast. That was so quick.
Exactly. And dude, I love the way that Mista, like, he's one of the best players at the moment at playing these kind of bait and surround type fights, like he tried to do there. We saw it earlier on in the tournament. I think it was in the series against Kiljardi, where he got a full envelopment in a matchup against the French on their knights, right? He loves doing these type of plays, and I love to witness them. The other detail, just to pile on your horseman point, why I agree and love that, is the whole concept of horsemen. Not only do they get out of the way of the Lanks as they come in afterwards or die first, they then, because they're getting out of the way they're doing it is they're getting around the back of the enemy. So then you can't start a step back with even archers to kind of kite this out. You just die. But instead, we might see a situation in which Mista could die. I don't know. I'm not sure here. Nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bet against the Bastards on Lipany. It's a bold one, but DivineDFP bringing out the English. There are ways you can pressure the Bastards in this matchup, right? But can you overcome what has become quite a potent map for the Bastards? I don't even want to predict their win percentage on this. It must be over 60% at this stage easily.
It's got to be high, right? Like the Abbasids love all the little choke points where they can wall and use their like slower pacing to their advantage. They love all the berries. They love the more reliable trade, like we saw Demu do earlier. There's just so much going for them on this map that it's really hard to see other civs picked as a favorite on this map. Generally, I would say Lipany feels like the Abbasid home map in a way, but we're gonna say English. I don't know. Like, English always feels awkward to be on this map because you have to contend with the stealth forest. And I know that sounds dumb, but like you just have to contend with how the middle of the map can kind of be like claustrophobic. And as English, having a slow army and walking into a claustrophobic area just feels like you're gonna die the whole time. And like generally, I think even with their slow army, they kind of want that open space to kind of be able to navigate and use their range to their advantage. But in these little choke points where you can wall and cause issues, it just kind of gets ugly. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, a lot of it comes down, I think, to that first choice is going to be eco wing, military wing. We've seen a lot of players going military wing in situations where I tended to think that military wing or eco wing was better, but who knows? I'm definitely probably wrong about that. But
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what Mista brings to the table here, what build order he goes for, if it's military TC, military all in, military or eco TC, eco 3 TC, who knows, right?
Yeah,
This is a surprising player every time, right?
is a wild bugger to watch for sure. And to your whole point, the stealth forest, it goes back to those choke points you talked about as well. It just like for an English army, it's not just the stealth forest on the way. It's the fact that one or two small walls double or triple your gank time to each side of the base. It's such an infuriating matchup. Maybe Divine goes a different way though. Maybe we're looking at a fast castle build. He's the type of player that lets go 2 TCs. So we've seen him do kind of like condensed rush ups. And that might be the way here. And he's going to need to. For a reminder, folks, like this is everything for DivineDFP. If he doesn't win this series, Mista still has a chance to make it to the playoffs, but DivineDFP will be all but guaranteed not making it. So, while Destiny's still in his own hands, we take to map number 4 between Mista and Divine.
Let's go. Mista up a point. Divine, gotta find a way. Oh, man. Ah, I love the start of an Age game. It's always so like peaceful. Like think about how that game just ended. It was like insane, right? It was just a bang, big army, big clash. Everything's going crazy, and then now we're just okay. Everybody can breathe, right? I love the ebb and flow of the pacing.
I almost crapped myself in that game, and now sheep.
Well, I did, and now I steep in it.
But it's okay. I sit in a dark chair, so people will barely notice. That sounded way too like realistic. Let's have it before. Anyway, let's talk about the scouting patterns. I want to check what Mista done in his opening. Yeah, he done what I thought he done. Like I love highlighting this with the Abbas at the moment. It's just such a potent tool to have. He immediately comes across the map to his opponent's side. Meanwhile, Divine has to play quarter and return because Mista can just go berries, but Divine needs those sheep.
For sure. I mean, the way English is played as well, it's... I'm just thinking about this matchup more. Like, how would I approach it if I were in this situation?
You would scout better. I'm sorry, Mista. That's free sheep. And you just ran into Divine
rough, yeah.
Scout territory. That's rough. That's so stealth for us, man. Like, you talk about it for the English army, but I think even for, like, scouts, it's really awkward, right? Because when he's in it like that, he can see through it. But when you're on the edge, like now, you can't see through those at all. There could be 3 sheep hiding behind it.
Look at that monster deer patch, by the way.
Good lord, what happened
A
here?
double deer. Double deer.
No,
I mean, look at the TC spot that Mista has to the left. I mean, that is so nuts.
what?
Triple gold deer berry protecting his other berry.
And a relic,
Like-
in case you want to do that.
Like that TC spot is super hot.
that-
Wood on the south side though going to be a little awkward. It'll stretch his base out a bit if he has to do that, but that sounds
that's an
like he'd
easy
just be
wall.
walled.
Wait. Actually,
Yeah.
I think he could literally walk up here and place the safest TC you will see in this tournament.
Yeah, that could be nuts. Or a Great Wall Gatehouse, you know?
Yeah, he just needs to like disconnect,
That was so
say
funny.
mispick Civ, and
No, that was just so funny the way that Gatehouse was
know,
like. It
I
was
know.
placed for
for
like
epicness.
visual aesthetics, not for.
You know
not
what it
for
was? He's
effectiveness.
playing Chinese. Like, what will improve the feng shui of my base? High ground gatehouse. Now my
The high
opponent
ground
looks good.
Gatehouse. Mista already heading to stone. Eco wing on the way. So this is going to be some early TCs. We could even see 2 TC here, I think, or adding 2 TC, so a 3 TC play. But we'll see. I mean, Council Hall coming down already, so it'll have to be something about
Oh,
like, can you manage the timing?
This might be.
Oh, I thought he canceled it for
no,
the-
No, he did shift it for a sec. This is a TC build. Divine, like, look how far he's moved out for the council hall and where the villagers are. pretty sure he's just going to go straight to stone afterwards.
Yeah.
He loves
But,
his
like-
double TC English. Like, I think it's one of his most frequent builds, from what I can recall.
Mhm.
And then, like, you go tech up. You can either get King's Palace or you just go for a White Tower, right? And which stage you have a producing building. You also have a good staging point to defend with. And you already highlighted that double deer stack. It looks juicy.
Yeah. And yeah, Mista just going. I kind of forgot, but I always forget that like you just don't go Spearman against English, right? Yeah, you just would never go. You would just never go mill wing here, right? That would just be so bad. So yeah, going eco wing is kind of your only option, I guess, against English.
And then you come in with camels. Military wing in Castle Age is really good because, like, you can just quickly. They're just discount knights. They hit villagers pretty hard at that phase. And usually by the time you get that tech up, the English villagers should be playing away from safe resources potentially, or at least like their wood line should be half munched, so they're exposed.
So Fertile Crescent on the way. It's going to be a very clean TC build here for Mista. No pressure at all. Doesn't look like the Council Hall. Well, actually, he's not on stone just yet, so
I do love how
maybe
villagers...
planting a couple longbows?
Yeah, I think you get like 4 or 5 just to harass, but I also just love how villagers disappear in the scaffolding there. Like, if you didn't know they started on the south side, where are they?
They're having a good time,
They're in the
okay?
shade. They're
Well, it
still
depends
hidden.
on which player your like perspective is on, right?
Yeah.
Because right now we're on Red's perspective, so we're seeing their like alpha unit thing. Never mind. I don't know why I'm getting technical here.
Unit.
So taking that TC
you
spot.
cheeky git. Okay, he's still going to find... In fairness, there's so many good spots here for Mista. It's kind of hard to block.
Is he just donating the sheep, by the way? Don't you just bonk it? Oh, here come the longbow. That delay might actually matter a little bit.
I think the TC's up. Like, you
Why isn't he
won't get
bonking the sheep?
Because, like, he knows the longbow's coming. He's like, build faster, damn it.
Why don't we just take a second and then
2
you have a sheep?
seconds. 2 whole seconds. What if that's the difference here? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I would have wasted time and then lost the TC to this one longbow for sure.
And you would have cancelled the TC.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Okay.
So Noville's on stone anymore, so it's not going to be some play for multiple TCs. He's going to respect the military here, probably adding a stable right now, just so we can clear out these longbow, or at least force them back.
I mean, he's got safe berries, right? Double TC saturation. It's very hard to dive. So he should be able to afford horsemen. And anticipating it, yeah, we are going to get the racks. Also, Divine going into those farms. Honestly, I think he's one of the like more smooth players I've seen in the last few months when it comes to farm transitions in English. I know that sounds like not something impressive, like, ooh, it only costs 37 wood, calm down, KP. But a lot of the time, you just see people kind of spamming them in a panic. Whereas every time I watch Divine's builds, it's like just layering them in. Like a finely crafted cake. I'm hungry.
Yeah, having it go smoothly, I would say it definitely feels better when your macro is low. You just feel more in control, and that can have like little sneaky effects on your like play style and how like aggressive you are or how comfortable you feel. At least for me, I don't know. When my macro feels and looks good, I feel like the rest of the game kind of sorts itself out. Like I feel like I just micro better. It's probably not true, but it's definitely a mental thing, and mental matters in these tournament games here. And Divine's gonna need a strong mental, right, KP? He's down a game against Mista, one of the legends of RTS, right?
And you know what does wonders for Divine's mental? It's like if he gets to just play a little bit gluttonous. But that's not happening for free here. You see what he's investing in. Like, this is a lofty investment if you were potentially planning greed. He hasn't moved out in the stone still, so it looks like we are just going to get a 1 TC English kind of all-in play. It's very make or break. It's a very dicey way, I think, in certain extent, to play a deciding game in your series. But what I like about it is it's at least Divine putting the fate of the game in his hands, right? It's not him trying to do something and hoping he can defend against Mista's aggression. It's him saying, you know, I will roll the dice first, and either I'm going to get a nat 20 or it's going to be a nat 1.
Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, no. What's interesting here is I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Man-at-Arms switch here. Like, I don't feel great about it right now. I'm willing to change my mind if Divine wins, but like, I guess he has the military advantage. He wants to use his advantage right now. They're going to be a bit stinky under the TC. They can take some fire, force some idle time, but I don't see this like paying off.
He needs
immediately,
like right now. Like that. The only way I like it is if he immediately
really?
primes siege engineering, and 1 ram could break Mista because, like, he's still in greed phase, right? It's incubation period. You can even see he's got fresh foodstuffs coming in. Like, he isn't ready to defend real aggression. But probing attacks, you're right. It's like, it's dicey with these men-at-arms.
Yeah, and he's played his map well, right? Like, he's walled the south. Like, this loop around is just going to hit the wall.
Wait, though. If he goes up on the hill, I think Mista might have chopped through the trees.
Yeah, there might be a way around the south side. But even that, like, so what? He just moves to the other wood line, right?
Yeah, but
Oh,
no, he's about to open the way. Can we check Mista's vision? He should know. But, like, we know because we're obsessed with it, right? How many people would realize that this is actually an opening?
He was checking. So he didn't know, but he checked it, and it was one Vil goes down. But, like, he's up so many. Like, that's kind of fine. And now look at where this aggression is. Like, what's it doing? Right? It killed a Vil. That's good. But this is, like, this huge investment in men-at-arms. This is, like, okay, I'm not going to go castle anytime soon. I'm getting all these techs to make this full feudal play work. Yeah. And I was going to this really... Okay, this far wood line does suck. Okay, that's value. Okay.
Yes, no.
No wheelbarrow as well.
Yes, the wheelbarrow is the awkward detail, but like the way Mista's playing, conceptually I like, is like, well, you got a slow army, so I'm gonna make you dance, all right? Let's get on the dance floor here. And once again, back to that play, like, yes, the villager going forward, sure, like you say, he loses one, but like, how many players would have been a bit greedy there and been like, especially without wheelbarrow, I don't want to walk a villager. I'll wait for a scout to come by. That would have cost him 4 or 5 villages in that environment. It's just a great read there to minimize losses. And if this outpost goes up, like, it's the one leg to stand on that Divine needs. If he gets fought on this and loses, though, I think we're just looking at a slow grind into an Abbasid win.
Yeah, he's up. He's down 11 Vils, but he's up 13 military. This is a very common situation when you're playing against 2TC. And if you don't make this work now, it's not going to get better, right? Like, this position is not going to get better without action on the side of Divine. So he's got to figure something out. This tower... It's pretty good. It kind of denies this one gold mine. It gives him a probing point into the wood, into the berries, like he's doing right now. But it's going to be tricky to deny the gold on the north, which, to be fair, Mista doesn't really need that right now. I mean, he could be getting a few more techs. Actually, no, he's quite down on the blacksmith tech, so he does need the access to the gold. So getting denied that is pretty rough.
I think,
but he has so much. Like, I don't know.
Well, like, one thing that's kind of worrying for me is, like, I like that Divine got that outpost up near the north side of the farms, because, like, you're seeing it now. This is the play for Mista. You see Divine's army, you know what you'd not see here? A game-ending army, right? They can't breach a TC. If they dive a TC, they die. So what can you do with these cavalry units? You don't sit them at home. You send them off to the pie, all right? See who they can get to dance with. They're going to be prom queen. They can either snipe off reinforcements or head straight for that wood line.
Yeah, lack of wheelbarrow here still... It bothers me.
Such a classic.
Wheelbarrow is such an efficient tech. Like, it gives you so many resources. It always surprises me when players... intentionally ignore it like this, but we'll see. I mean, the upgrades for Divine are really good. He's gotten almost every field age upgrade, just missing the mining, which is totally understandable at this stage, right? Getting even siege engineers, so he's gonna have a full blacksmith, able to do whatever he wants.
Oh, this might be the tip-off. Divine will see him on the Palisades. Little did he know, if he just went left, he could have easily wiggled in past the TC. So, staging point, getting more reinforcements coming through. The horsemen are wasting time on this palisade. This is kind of like go time, and that's why I love the siege engineering coming in. Like, Divine, now that the horsemen aren't here, you have to go, right? 14 minutes, not a minute later, you need to be knocking on that town center.
Yeah, because the Vil count now, look at that, 16 villager advantage for Mista. So even at this point, he could pull Vils to kill the ram, and it would be an efficient trade for him because he's so ahead. And look at that archer mass, 25 archers to 23 longbows. So if the fight doesn't go right, it could be tricky. And Mista 4 horsemen in queue, 12 on the field. This feels tricky.
And this is dangerous as well for Divine, because those horsemen are coming back now. If they wait for the engagement, when the spearmen at arms have clashed with the other side of the fight, your longbows are left unguarded, right? And just 8 of these horsemen could easily clean up that longbow mass.
Yeah, this is... Rams coming in.
This is all in timing. Like, if this TC doesn't go down, you can basically just call GG.
Even if it does go down, is it a game winner? Like, I don't know. Like,
no,
it depends on how many Vils you kill. Like, this is a fresh food stuff. Or sorry, fresh food stuff. This was a Fertile Crescent TC, right? Like, super cheap.
Archers.
The men-at-arms, though, are going to do a lot here. There's 12 of them, so they're quite tanky.
Yep, and keep in mind
Longbows
the attack
getting
speed
free
there.
picks.
Yeah, because you can't contest it. It's just too many longbows. The horsemen have come around the backside, but great read by Divine. Look what he's done. He's part of the men-at-arms there. But this might be too wide of a fight for him to take here. Horsemen, move in. Just tickling away at him. TC is going to go down, but Mista more interested in the main engagement. Horseman going to clash with the men-at-arms. Now the men-at-arms secluded. The Lombo's distracted. He can start to clean up these very expensive MAAs. Keep in mind, Mista is still heavily ahead in eco count, even with the loss of the TC. Divine needs this.
Yeah, and this fight is not going in a way that's going to make the game much better for Divine, as all of the melee units are going to get cleared up. Only a few horsemen remain. Actually, there's still 3 men-at-arms, 4 or 5 healthy men-at-arms.
Well, they're not that healthy. Two healthy MAA. So he's going to keep pushing.
The longbows are still at reign here. And
yeah, it's the horsemen.
30 longbows.
It was the horsemen. The horsemen rent in half health because they engaged with the MAA. We've seen that clash a million times, right? It favors horsemen when they can dictate the fight, but they were forced to engage in a favorable way for Divine. And now, check this wrap. Divine says, okay, you've been extending north side. I'm going to sweep through. And he can do that because he still has 2 rams to play with. These were never cleaned up. And Mista, now, in quite the pickle. His food income is about to plummet.
Yeah, his position just got really tricky here. Misinterpreting how that man-at-arm engagement was going to go. I think he was thinking the archers were doing better than they were there, but he's wasting so much arrow fire on these pesky men-at-arms, and the longbow just having a field day. Look at the KD here. It's insane. Look at the army value. Look at the destroyed value. 3-1 almost. I mean, this is just so much value for Divine in this. The man-at-arms really paid off there. That was a really smart play.
And I think the cool thing from there with Divine, you notice how you sent the rams north? People were like, well, why wasn't he attacking the production buildings? Because you have so many longbowmen here that if Mista produces anything out of any of these buildings, it instantly dies, right? So you might as well spread yourself in, get maximum value, and now we see maximum pain. Mista, he was already forced to go to the southeast side of the map to play on the berries behind his base that's safe. But now he has to play onto risky territory because he knows he can't get back home where it would be safe. And you mentioned it before. I'm going to bring it back to it again. You know, if I had to choose one nitpicky detail that has made such a phenomenal difference in this game, you already know what I'm about to say, Winston, all right? It lets you carry so many things home with you. You could probably put in a few Abbasid corpses and give them a nice funeral quicker. Wheelbarrow is still not there.
Yeah, not prioritizing it in this situation might be a costly mistake here, but I'm not sure. I mean, maybe Mista's a very seasoned player. He probably knows something about what he's doing. It's just, I can't imagine you don't want wheel arrow, right? Like, it just feels like such a good tech, but these vills on the run.
The classic free villager outpost rush at 16 minutes to the Abbasids.
4 rams, though, going to be enough to deal with the TC.
Deal with everything. I mean, this is GG. Mista, he's desperately trying to scrap together a horseman mass to go in once more, but by the time he does, you know, you're going to be up against...
Only 2 spearmen.
Yeah, but you're going to be up against similar number of men-at-arms, right? And we saw what happened last time you had to fight them. And you will have to fight them now. Sheesh. Well, looks like we are heading to a game number 5. Unless Mista is a magician and can pull more than a rabbit out of his hat. Primary TC has been abandoned. Eco lead is only 5 now for Mista. Sure, the House of Wisdom is tanky. And I don't think it's going to be tanky enough against this.
TC goes down. This is going to be a landmark win.
It is.
Oh, as it pops up on the screen. Unless Mista can figure something out.
Those Lombos are baiting. They haven't put Palings down. The Ruined TC does help them get back, but the men-at-arms aren't here in full mass. The surround comes in. Mista with the pinch. The one he'd need to potentially turn. Archers are slow to arrive to provide backup. Lombos are going to be thrown into the meat grinder, but they are willing participants. Not enough horsemen, not enough time left. Ladies and gents, we are getting a game number 5.
That man-at-arm play from Divine was really good. His army comp seemed perfect. Not over-investing in Spearman, as we see a lot of English used to play, right? Was longbow Spearman, right? But here, mixing in the men-at-arms meant that mass archer wasn't just the go-to counter against this army. Forced the horsemen into several bad fights against the men-at-arms, and wow, just played really, really well there. Divine, excellent gameplay, excellent macro, excellent micro, good positioning. Was a bit tricky at the start. It looked like Mista was gonna get away with the greed even for a bit there, but he kind of got that outpost up, and then from then on, it just felt so good for him.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think back to that TC play, right, where the Rams come in. There's an argument that maybe Mista should have just forfeited it, allowed it to go down. But the reason he didn't do that is because of the initial outpost. There would have been a follow-up outpost immediately because the village on the front line. So, it seems kind of weird, like maybe Mista jumped the gun. It's because Divine does such a great job of forcing him to jump the gun. I think if there's one thing I'd say Mista could have done different here, outside of wheelbarrow, I know that's a sticking point for you, Winston, but the other big one was those horsemen he sent home. They could have just raided the wood line of the English and slowed down that Lombo mass, and they would have probably got more value. But we have to remember, right? We've got God Vision, hindsight's 2020, blah blah blah. Any other random saying people say too much. That's the way it goes. He didn't know how accessible that tree line was.
Yeah. Whew. That's as the Zoomers say, yeesh.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
You gotta go higher. Yeesh. Like just accidentally.
I'm trying. That's about as high as I can go.
Just accidentally sit on your testicles. You say, sheesh. There you go. You get it.
Yikes.
All right, we got 20 gifties, by the way. Shout out.
Yikes.
Yikers.
Thank you, Anonymous.
We won't know who you are, but we do appreciate
we don't. It's anonymous. We respect anonymity here.
Otherwise, they hack you. So, we're getting pretty close to cracking the 1200. Keep it coming, guys. I want to see how close we can get that 2500. I mean, they still haven't told us what we get if we reach 2500. I still think it should just be like a video of Pesty dancing to every song from Dirty Dancing.
I'd pay money for that.
I would too. Full extravagant kind of sways you over the top energy all over the place. I'd pay for that.
Indeed. Also, you owe everybody Jigglypuff. And I hated saying that out loud. Oh gosh. Nope. Regret.
You want
but
me to?
We said it. That's done. We're done. It's over.
Like what you want? Would it be better if it was like game number 5?
We said just the one.
DFP versus the Mista. Yeah, that went a little bit long. That should have just been Divine versus Mista. Like, in fairness, I was just going to ignore it. Winston done this. It's like...
Well, I said it, so I had to stop, but I had to bring it. We promised, and someone literally gifted subs to get there. Like, we had to. It was my bad for making the guarantee.
In fairness, we got double what you requested, so it made sense to do a second one. Ooh, man, but yeah, I understand why Jigglypuff keeps that chorus low. That kind of gets weird when you go longer. Anyway, this shouldn't be a snooze fest. I mean, Chinese is in it, but on the other side, we get French.
French. You think
we end this with
does
cock?
The thing?
Yeah. Do you think
it starts as it finishes? We start.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, bringing out the Chamber of Commerce, trying to show Divine a taste of his own medicine. I mean, Mista really dominated that matchup, so I'd be surprised if he's thinking, you know what, sounds like a good idea. The thing that lost earlier.
Yeah, but that's is that not the ultimate Chadley move, right? It's like after the comeback starts to kick in, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna Divine. I'm here to teach you lessons. Like, you know how Mista is, right? He's a very wise lad. He's very open to just letting you know how it is. Divine. You had a good idea, but here's how it really works. There isn't a cooler way you could win the 5th game than to do the failed build of your opponent in the first.
It is a Chad move. It is the ultimate display of dominance. It's setting the tone and the record straight. Also, the record in your favor because it's a game 5 situation. So It would be very cool, but I'd be surprised. Rocky Canyon trying to go chamber. I mean, maybe.
Rocky
China
Canyon
can be a bit slower, right? At the start. Like if China tries to go 2TC, maybe you can just get away with it. Their timing isn't quite as potent as Rus, the way we saw it, right? Like their timing is a little bit later, right? They like to 2TC into Castle Age, right? And then start making some power units, whereas Rus can do so in the Feudal Age, saving them a whole bunch of time before they can start just punching you in the face, right? So, I mean, we'll see if Mista tries that. I would be shocked. if he tried to whip out the Chamber of Commerce.
I mean, it is a map with trade, right? Like, I'm just double confirm. Rocky Canyon, yes. Dry River is the one that doesn't have trade because it has the fishing in the center. Was it
Mhm.
Dry River? I've said this before. It doesn't look like much of a river. Okay, it's like a puddle after a storm. Just saying, Biddlin. You know.
Dry puddle.
Yeah. I remember when I like had a discussion after I saw the names for Biddlin. I was like, we really did pull out all the imagination cards for these ones, didn't we, Biddlin? Dry
I see
River.
a rock.
This looks rocky. Let's call this one, and it's got a canyon.
I mean, clear names,
Yeah.
man. They're memorable.
No false advertising, right? I mean, in fairness, like, Holy Island, no offense, Adney, but like, no one ever cares about the island. It's Holy
Mhm.
Fishdom. Frizzy marshes. No,
Someone just said, "Please, no chamber. I can't take another 10 minutes of COC jokes." That's
know what?
fair.
Okay, in hindsight,
I also can't. That's why I'm hoping it's just School of Cav.
do you know what?
Keep it simple.
In the
Keep it
hindsight,
clean. Keep it
like,
clean.
in hindsight, I didn't even mean to go there when we went there. After you made the initial like comment, and it was just like the nickname you gave it.
I didn't call it that. I never said that. I said COC. I never said
You did.
that.
But then like later
Never did.
on, I can't
Never did.
remember the comment I made. It sounded very crude, and it was very casual, innocent, like it wasn't intended, and then it just broke us. So like, this is, you know what I'm like. This just happens. It's just row the boat down Craps Creek. Just keep going until you come out the other side. But don't worry, there's no rowing involved in this one. It's Rocky Canyon, not Dry River. Thank you very much, Bidlin. As we hop in to match number 5. Reminder, this is critical. Whoever wins here still has a chance of making out the groups. The other, guaranteed afuera. They've gone. They're not coming back. Let's see who's going to make it.
Yeah, an important game 5 coming up here. Let's get it.
French
just
versus
whisper?
Chinese, man. I mean, I'm still curious to see which way Mista wants to play this. Usually the forward spawning woods does leave you a bit vulnerable to raids. Chinese is one of the more annoying civs to try and dive with knights though, right? Because of the high damage that comes out from the hand cannon slits. So like, if you're a French player, I think like it's one of those weird ones, right? Where you're like, I can raid them. But then you're like, I can raid them because they don't build any units. But they don't build any units because they have really good static defenses. So it's just... feels good, but feels bad at the same time. We'll see how it feels for Mista. Game 5's ready.
Going in. It's happening.
That's usually how game starts work. They do happen.
They happen. You have to hit start. Then you have to train villagers. Then you have to move your scout around. You have to build a house. Generally, a mining camp.
Thank
I'm
you.
ready to go.
Thank you for describing Age of Empires 4. Have you ever thought of doing build orders?
Yeah.
Jesus, you're like that
Just leaves it at that.
You're like that
Just leaves it there.
player that I get to interview on stage that I'm just like, I'm not even going to indulge this anymore. Just get out of my sight.
Oh boy.
So
Here we see it.
well, look at the spawns, and as expected, we are going to get this forward wood spawn. So not a lot of safety behind your base, and something to keep in mind with DivineDFP. You got a kind of wacky split spawn here that still benefited him. The gold is north side, stone south, but the second stone is a stone's throw away. Not bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not too bad for him. He's got a decent TC spot if he does go second TC, kind of on the left there, would protect the gold and secure a hunt. Also a cool TC up in the north. We'll get a boar, deer, and gold. Could be really nice for him if he does do that. French often do like to add, a second, sometimes even a third TC late feudal. So
Yes.
we'll see what that ends up looking like if he does end up playing a lot of feudal age. The trade post is kind of okay for a Chamber of Commerce, honestly. You could put a market. You build a chamber in your base, then you market the north, and you'd have a full trade, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, if you just build in your base, you just trade with Divines, because he's playing Chinese. He's not like to stop you trading.
He's not going to do anything. Yeah,
What's he going to do? Look at you scornfully? How dare you trade in the 5th game of a Decider series?
Like Baltoon and just not notice. I mean, to be fair, Baltoon did not have a scout, so how could he have known? But that was just one of those things. I think he knew at some point, right? He could tell, but
this would be a bit more egregious, right? Because you'd be trading, you'd probably be trading just outside the range of the second TC, because I think Divine has only one place for a second TC that's good here, and it's that deer gold wood stack north of his base, which is dangerous, because if your timing is a bit off, and let's say Mista does go for this School of Cavalry, like he's doing. Oh my god, we don't get to end it how we began it. This means his first knight could be there in time when you're building up. So I think it's really important that Divine rushes towards Wheelbarrow and make sure that he pulls ample villagers for a greedy TC.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we'll see. I mean, it also depends on where you put the Barbican.
True.
Like,
But
people
you're not
used to
gonna
build the Barbican very boldly. You're not going to get a Barbican in an ideal spot here, are you?
You're going to be that greedy son of a gun. You're going to do what every single Chinese player ever... He's not doing everything. He's doing it different. We're getting the Barbican. Okay, we have a game. This is
And you
very
question
important.
me. And you question me.
I didn't question you. I questioned Divine. I mean, that's not to
You
say I wouldn't
questioned me.
question
You
you.
said,
I
"Oh,
question
you
you
would never
all the
do
time.
that."
But, like, you know...
And look at what I said.
I mean,
said,
were you not the
Barbican
guy
there
who
is
began
perfect.
this game hoping for a Chamber of Commerce? I mean, come on.
I didn't
It's
say I
French.
hope for it. I said I hope for not it. So we'll see. I mean, the Barbican's in a good spot, but will it actually secure the TC? Because he needs to make sure he gets stone as well, which is kind of awkwardly to the right for him, and that's still an exposed location. So,
I mean,
kind of tricky potentially.
I just want to give some praise to Divine. Like, this is a player that is known for his greed. He's almost mocked for his greed, right? When he's playing Chinese, when he's playing French. People have said in the past that, like, the play is predictable. We know he likes his greed, and they do great things to exploit it. But going Barbican first is, like, it's a very big deal for Chinese players. It's not this small shrug and avoiding the greed. Like, it's almost instinctual, you know what I mean? Like, you need to do it. It's like as a Mongol player opening a game by placing your Uvu. It's like you just have to do it.
Honestly, though, I don't think it makes that much of a difference the order you build them in.
I know. I agree. But
Except for the fact that if you build the Barbican second, you're less likely to get it in a greedy spot. Right?
yes, I agree. But, like, that still doesn't change the fact that most Chinese players do go Imperial Academy first. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the economy is really good. Like, you're securing more taxes, and you're just going to be able to afford stuff a little earlier, right? But...
And this is interesting. Mista didn't go for knights. He went for the horseman, which I love. It's a great way of depriving vision off the map from Divine, which means you can kind of play greedy or all in, and Divine will only know it when it's too late. I love that. Just this sheep is staying with me now. I get him in the divorce.
Yeah, it's like a lost puppy. But yeah, the Imperial Academy coming down, so that's going to be Song. It doesn't look like Divine's going to the TC just yet, even. So he's going to be sticking with Song for a bit.
Yeah, but look on the other side. The reason Mista went for this horseman is
CST?
he's now deprived vision. He gets away with this. Divine can't come out. For all he knows is a second horseman. He's going to try to gamble off the south side, and he looks like he might win the roll of dice. But the hesitance, man, like, you know, if you come out past the midway point and Mista's built a second horseman, you're losing that scout, right? And what makes it annoying on this map, Winston, is all those small stealth forests. It's very difficult to see them before you're in kissing range.
Yeah, but I think it's really interesting here that Divine just isn't even going to the stone. So not even flirting with the idea of a TC. Meanwhile, Mista almost has the resources for his. And he, like we said before, Mista has a lot of really good TC spots.
Is this like, this could be potentially trip TC. Yeah, he's going wide, so he's going on a Pumbaa. Honestly, am I wrong for saying that? I feel like I don't even mind if he goes free TC. And he doesn't mind either. All right, you've sold me. I love this.
3TC, but I'm confused about what Divine's plan is, because we don't see a military build. Okay, we see barracks, so just respecting the potential of knights by adding a few spears?
Yeah, he's paranoid.
Now going to stone. So, okay, this makes a bit of sense, right? He wanted to make sure he had Spearman out first. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't just going to die going to the stone. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I was a little confused for a bit.
He's going to be so
Just making
delayed.
sure it all makes sense.
Yeah, but you're so delayed now, right? So, like, you're playing paranoid, you're playing defensive to play greedy, but because you haven't come out your base to snoop anything, Mista is getting more greed. Like, he's going to go free TCs, but the time he's got what he needs for it, wheelbarrow should be complete, and he'll probably play towards, I want to say, like, the deer stack to the west of his base would make a lot of sense, or between the two wood lines just to kind of bridge the gap and, you know, go heavy into wood.
Yeah, this works. And I guess as China, you're okay being a little bit later to the second TC because you've already you've unlocked Song already, so it should play out. But I mean, French also has their TC bonus, so it's like it's a bit awkward here for Divine. Is he gonna find some advantage here soon? Because I don't think the Palace Guard spam is particularly good. Like Palace Guard B doesn't feel like the best matchup into French. But because they just go knight crossbow and they love it, right? They love going royal knight arbalist, and they feel great making those units. So it's spicy. This feels spicy. Third DC is about to be done. This is crazy build for Mista.
Yeah. And there it is. It's going to be south side. Not on the deer. He opts to connect the wood line, so you kind of anticipate he maybe go around wood here. It's a natural thing to do as well, right? Because it creates a safe zone to always gather wood. Even if your opponent now, say, went Chuge Nu, you can't dive past this point.
And it kind of forces Divine's hand. Like, Divine has to go for a third as well, but he's not. So I don't... All right, and we're back off to the races, so don't worry, we just paused the game. Everything is fine. Didn't miss out too much, and here we go. So again, as a recap, we're in Game 5 of a intense series between Mista and Divine, who have been playing, both of them, I think, playing very well. We've seen some insane fights this series so far, and now we have a boom game, a macro game. 2TC Song against 3TC French. Bit risky, I feel like, for the Chinese player. Probably banking on getting a much faster castle time at this stage is Divine. To make sure that he has like a good situation for himself. Like, he needs to kind of shut down this economy quickly, because like we said, I mean, there's good stages and bad stages. Obviously, China has generally a better late game, especially if French doesn't have trade established. The Chinese late game is generally superior. You have really good landmarks that shut down the game, and even though the Red Palace can be really stinky and good in certain spots, just that main force of the Chinese can be really tricky to deal with. But in Castle Age, French can get an advantage, in my opinion, at times, especially with the tempo of Royal Knights, Arbalists, the keep influence, right? These sorts of things work well, and interesting choice here. Spearman and Jugnu getting queued up by Divine.
It's because he saw the stone. Like, he knows that Mista is going to be greedy. He's going to try to go for Castle Age rush into a keep drop, but there's a window here, right? Like, if you want a good keep drop, you're going to have to put it in this pass, and Jugnu can get in position to block you in time. So I don't mind it from Divine. But it's very all in. Like, this is hit or miss. This is your tournament life. Like, if you're just off by 30 seconds, it's GG.
Yeah, if this keep goes down somewhere good, it's really hard to stop, right? Oh, man. It doesn't even need to be a good spot. It just needs to protect the buildings, and you're good. Like, if this becomes Knights, because he's committing to Castle Age now, to Feudal Age for quite a while with this production. It's going to put him quite far behind, adding more buildings as well. So he's gambling on the Feudal Age, paying off here. Already up to 300 stone. We're 1/3 of the way to the keep.
This is very greedy, though. Only 6 people working that guild hall. Now, if he does get the palisades up, that's going to buy him vital time. Enough time, in fact. The problem is he's going to have to leave his villagers out to die on that stone, remember? Like, that's the only stone he can access now. And has he drained the original? He shouldn't have. He just still have like 400.
There's still 300 there, but I think
That's
this was
enough.
Calculated by Mista to take the risky stone while he could.
Yes.
And now he still has 400 at the other one. So that's actually enough to build another keep. Just, wow. Frame perfect, actually.
Let's check the drop-off. It might be just under.
No, it's enough.
Oh, yeah,
No,
yeah, sorry, you're right.
He's got enough. There's 400 at the other one. That's already enough, right?
Right.
With what he has in the bank.
You know
And
how we do with maths.
we don't. That's our secret.
Hey!
Well, this ram push going to the north could be stinky because those vills are going to get trapped fast.
Dude, I like how you always go for stinky. Like,
No, I know they're 900 stone, guys. It's 400.
and 46.
40
So
in the
he
bank
doesn't
and 460 in the stone mine.
He doesn't
He's
have
got
enough. 400.
No, there's 460 in the stone mine.
Was it
Well, he doesn't have
460?
enough in his bank.
I thought it
There's
was
460 on that
446.
stone mine.
Like,
In the safe one, it's 46.
it's 446. See? You could, dude. Okay, we need to have a longer talk about the NA education system, but we save that for
No.
another day.
I thought that was 460. I did not 446. Who knew?
All right.
Well, it's not even. It doesn't even matter because it's not safe stone anymore, right? But regardless, this push
It's
goes
safe
towards the
stone
north
now. Go, go, go. He's
He
coming
built
in.
the guild hall up here too.
Yeah. And
That
you
could be
know
on
what?
stone
He
now.
could get the stone from there if he had time. But, you know, this isn't a Hans Zimmer song. We're not gonna have enough time, all right? He's going to lose it. It's not even been switched over yet. I think he doesn't even think he's going to keep it long enough to get anything. Oy, oy, oy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Is he
Oh,
legit-
Red Palace.
He's going Red
doing
Keep?
Red Palace.
Hey, if you're going to discount me on the castle with your Nerfs relic, 900 stone now, don't worry. I'll build this thing that costs 3,600 resources. Is much more efficient.
I mean, the guild hall dying here feels unnecessary, but I think it's fine, I guess. It's buying him time to build this. Imagine if the guild hall was in his base, this army would be coming towards the Red Palace right now, and potentially shutting it down. So all these Yugnu are going to have a much harder time accomplishing anything when they get, what, 2-shot by the TC emplacement? So...
Mista's kind of sitting here going, "Oh no, I've gone down a landmark. Psych! Perfectly free landmarks in sync."
Oh, I don't... Did Mista collect from that? Can we click on the guild hall?
I mean, it would have been like what, 200 food?
Still resources. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know, you gotta make it interesting, right? You did just build the boss.
He didn't collect it.
And he is, by the way, gathering for a keep
Did
now.
he just get Elite Knight?
He might, because like check what he's doing on the right side. He's gathering berries and stone. He could drop a keep there, turn it into a proxy base, and then rush knights in.
Well, the way Mista plays this is he just spams more TCs, right? That's what he does.
You could. I mean, but still, like the keep, I like it just to set up stables halfway across the map, because then like Divine can't dive your base now, right? And if you set up a keep on the right side, he can't actually deal with that with just 2 rams either. So you put him between a rock and a hard place, literally, because they're all made of rock. But you also have a close point to raid into Divine's economy fast with knights, instead of having to run across the map.
So what does Mista do? He doesn't. He has 4 units, one of everything, against 50 units. I feel like even the Red Palace can't save you from this. But
it's time to summon the expansion pack. He needs to become Jean d'Arc. I'm sure that Civ has tactical nukes. Nah, I'm just kidding. This is a tactical nuke. Look at the damage it does to rams.
I think he meant to go in the guild hall, but he actually entered the TC.
Into the red keep, right? Yeah.
Oh, he was getting Vet Knight. Okay, I thought that was an Elite Knight at some point. I was like, how the hell did he afford that?
You know,
yeah,
like,
the Rams go down.
It's like efficiency-wise, this isn't bad if you think about like the idle time of the villagers versus the 250 wood investment for the rams.
He's just gonna rebuild the TC. Oh, this is just hilarious.
There's still a boar to be gathered here, damn it.
And watch these. Look at that. It's almost one-shotting. If he garrisons, it does, right?
Yep.
Look at him die. Oh my gosh.
A line of TCs, please. I think there's enough wood left for that. Meanwhile, Divine, he's paranoid the raids might be coming. He's actually started to wall the flanks for his base. Except he's left this very inviting position, yeah, just to the right of these villagers, where he's setting up his farms. I still want Mista to build some proxy stables here. He would annihilate that economy. Or get annihilated.
It's been interesting because, yeah, like, Divine has kept up economically, even though, like, a lot of the value here, right, is that these TCs are producing so much faster now, because that bonus for the French scales with which age you're in, right? So now that he's an imp, these TCs are just pumping out vills, but... I mean, honestly, Divine's done a good job getting Vill picks. And I was about to say not losing Vills himself, but of course, I say that as he's getting wrecked. So, rip. Several Vills go down there.
And they will die fast. These are, for the moment, Cast Age Knights, but soon to be Imperial. He just needs to access some gold. Remember, he has got easy access to gold. I wonder if he sent one village onto the guild hall as well, just to start repairing that up. It'll take a while.
By the way, it's nasty. This is 5 TC, by the way. TC number 5.
Oh, yeah, of course. You're standing Imperial Age Rush 5 TC French. I'm used to seeing it all the time. I think Divine's taking notes like, a French TC boom. I like the sound of that. Man, this is... how do you come back from this? Like, because this...
Just keep macroing and don't lose Vills, right? I don't know.
Easier said than done. Like, 3 knights.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Has he even got textiles? I think that would be a game changer for Divine. Just nab textiles to minimize these losses.
Oh, man. As more Vills get denied of resources, so these walls becoming critical for keeping Divine alive. As the knights continue to raid around, but they're chased away by their little spear buddies.
Well, fortunately for him, Mista, you know, he needs to probably make a farm transition of his own, right? So that's going to slow down the timings.
No, why build farms when you could build a 6th town center?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, you need more food. Why not build a building that needs to spend food at an accelerated rate compared to other civs?
The wood line's not going to exist pretty soon. That wood line that he's working on. I mean, these raids have also been disgustingly good. He's killed 14 Vills? Like, how has this happened?
Hear me out. You rush up to like 150, maybe even 160 eco, and then the rest is just spent on knights. and you can afford it, and then you play for the stone in the center, right? And then you set up the Magano line, which Divine's never getting by because he's too busy investing everything into spears and Chugi Nu. Nothing's going into siege.
Yeah. Tricky. One relic on the way. What? There it is. Oh boy, I don't even know. I mean, Mista's going to be fully boomed very soon.
The 6 TC Imp Age Rush French. I should have seen this coming, right? I still remember one of the most memorable French games of Mista being, I think it was against Demu, I want to say, on Altai, where he Imp Age rushed as the French against the Chinese and then swarmed the Knights. This guy loves his unorthodox French builds, and this definitely marks up there on the list. But damn, does it look vicious.
I just wonder if there was any opportunity for Divine to do anything. He's been sitting on 50+ military this entire game, and he's been chasing 3 knights around the map. Like, I can't help but think there were more opportunities here, but I guess the Red Palace is so, like, devastating when it's placed like this and played in this manner that it's really tricky to do anything or accomplish anything. But, like, you have to imagine, he said 80 units. That's 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 7.
But he's not even producing out of them. Like, wasn't he at 1-2-1 over a minute ago?
They're just for security, right?
Yeah, they're literally.
They make you unrateable.
It's cheaper than a keep, man. Doesn't mean you don't get like the influence bonus, right? That you get from a castle that would make building a real army cheaper. But who needs an army?
But yeah, exactly. Why you're assuming that Mista wants units right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So far he's demonstrated.
I really thought he was playing an RTS. That's my bad, Winston. We're actually playing a TD game.
An 8th. This is actually going to be the 9th TC he's built because remember he lost one, so he should be at 9. But
this is a deciding game. Okay, like it kind of seems like he's just BMing his opponent, but like if it's working, is it really BMing? Probably still.
He's showing you. I think he's showing who the real Chamber of Commerce player is. The big chamber build.
Yeah, it's very big chamber. And he's ready to unload all of them. All 8 TCs plus the red keep. Oh, good lord. Coming to a pub game near you soon.
Yeah. I don't know if it's BM.
No, it's not BM. Like
it's a legitimate strategy in this case, right? Like
it seems like BM because it's so unorthodox, but it's actually legit. And like, watch this dive. This dive is going to lose you your entire army. I would advise against this, Divine. I think he just had enough. He's like, just screw it. We're going in. I mean, the irony is, the TCs are kind of Chugi-nuing you, right?
God.
Red Palace is totally balanced. I don't see that. What are these complaints about?
Completely.
Oh my god, he's gonna keep it open as well. This is it's just a tower defense game. And now they're elite knights. Say a prayer. A moment of silence.
The bills are coming. That TC's going up.
You are not Chinese. We are Chinese. We build more TCs and we build them in your kingdom. He's actually going to wall them in. Keep them safe. Please don't wall them in.
I don't think he cares. Mista just wants the TC there.
Oh, no. I'm saying Divine's going to do Mista a favor and wall them in. Like, now the army can't even try to take out the TC.
The Knights are going to... Hey, guys. Mista finally almost has 20 units on the field.
Woohoo! He's got 1 mango. That 1 mango will crush the entire army. I'm calling it. Just stands behind a TC. And then rocks the
That was
world.
a really good shot on those spearmen. And now the Mangonel could creep forward, and the Jugnu have no chance of doing anything here, KP. And 80 military for what? Yeah, I guess that's their opportunity.
80 military?
Oh
what about double digits TC, baby? Let's go!
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is his 10th built TC. But remember, he lost one in Feudal Age, so
I'm sure he'll make up
for that. 9 on the map.
For that with another TC. He just needs to access some stone, which he's now going to do. Divine, meanwhile, he's using all the stone to build walls. He's building so many walls.
The gatehouse soon, right?
Good luck with that. I think he's just going for historically accurate, keep the Mongol horde out. Only the Mongols are French this time around. They've come pretty far for this. Just keep... dude, I genuinely think if you get seen that keep, you die, even as Chinese. Luckily for him... Okay, unluckily for him, he's pushing the French knights towards it. Oh, that is like
It
the
goes
most
up, it
counterproductive
goes up.
way. I mean, sure, but now I just kill a bunch of villagers and I run past, right? It's like, well done, you've got,
Or
you've
he
got a
just
keep.
kills the keep here, right?
No, just die past. Let me out that wood line, all right? It's thinning like your hairline from this game.
Oh, man.
Gimme, gimme, gimme. Yummy in a French man's tummy. So many villagers about to be massacred. I mean, Divine, he has nowhere to go, right? He can't go to a 6th game. It's do or die here. So props to him, he'll stick in it. But this one has felt over for quite a while.
Yeah, this is really well executed by Mista across the board, right? Like, he's just up a huge vill count. He's ramming down the gate. What craziness is this? All the farms are idle. There's no keeps on the farm eco, so the fact that the wall did not hold is just problematic for him. Now there's proxy stables behind the walls as if there wasn't enough issues. The gatehouse is a huge weakness now as it's getting rammed down. Vills are getting pummeled left and right. The Vill kills 51 villagers. You would think the player that goes 10 TCs in a match should be the one with the Vill losses. No, it's the other way around. Mista kills your Vills and has an unrateable economy here. Just showcasing the power of the French, abusing this very effectively here. And
you know what would be great?
Divine's imp with what? To do what?
He's got hand cannoneers. They will be very phenomenal against those town centers that are crawling towards your base. There is still, like, 2 fat stone outcroppings worth of TCs to build in this game, Mista. He might get a chance to. Before he does that, it's massacre time. The Knights are jumping over each other to get at these poor undefended villages. I mean, that is gruesome. 150 villages for Mista. We're going to be under 80 at this rate for Divine.
Oh, man. How many Vills do you think Divine is going to lose this game?
I think I want to stop now. Just call GG. No, we're past the glorious number. 69 is
69.
past. It's going to be 112. I think he calls it 112. Like, he's deluding himself into be like, 3 hand cannoneers will save me. Gunpowder beat horse.
The Knights have to retreat.
They'll be back.
They'll be back. Yeah, there was a threat. There was a threat in that. It's about the implication.
Look at what I can do. Okay, I'll be back to do it again soon.
The Greatwell Gatehouse is still reigning supreme in the middle of the map, though. And these Knights just keep running it and...
Reigning
supreme. Divine's like, how do they get here? I'm full walled. But he has to know that those Vills ran past, right? Surely.
I just want this one ram to go deal with that gatehouse. Like, by the way, we've had 2 gatehouses today. Which one was the best?
This one's far better than the other one. Because this one killed a ramp.
Who wins? This one Knight or these villages? No, that's cheating. Keep the Spearman out of it. So he knows, but here's the thing. That knowing something is good, Winston, but you can't always do something about it. Like, I know that many people are richer than me.
Of course, there's a hole there where you can just sneak around the keep.
It didn't matter. Like, you could dive past the keep at this point.
Yeah,
all right, here we go.
Sure,
112. Like, let's hit it.
You think 112 Vill kills this game before Divine maybe calls it?
I
don't know. Divine
in
still
for a penny, in for a
150 pop.
Yeah, but that's about
it just
to pop
doesn't
like a
feel
balloon.
like he can ever win. Like, what's his win condition, right?
Wait for Mista to get bored or his internet to drop like mine. That's kind of all I've got. On to the town center.
There's 10 Vills in here.
Not
oh,
for
boy.
long. There's got to be 10 villagers 6 feet under where that town center was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now he's actually... Okay, we're going to let them live. All right. I need to hit the 112, 96 and counting. He's chasing like 30 villagers on the south side here. And they are undefended.
I don't think... I guess Mista can't really afford to just fight these straight up. But he's prepping a big ram push in his base. There's a huge amount of siege. He's got 9 rams. Here they come.
The true
on the south side, on the north side too, I think even. There's just rams everywhere. Oh, yeah. Boy.
I mean, you know, it's about sending a message. Your great wall must crumble. Everywhere.
We're past it.
We've done it. Or we're exceeding. He's still not called... This has to be GG point. You can't defend these anymore. Like 4 hand cannoneers, 5, I think they get cleaned up by those Knights because I'm pretty sure they do have rule bloodlines.
I mean, this is Divine's like tournament life, right? He has to play for the win, right?
Yeah, it's like you know, Lexa, turn on Linkin Park, and then you just go from there. You ignore the pings, the alerts on your map. You just keep hotkeying and mashing villagers, occasionally mashing a hand cannoneer, and you pray. You pray to Imhotep, to Thor, to Zeus. Mainly because
Anyone
at this
will listen,
point,
really.
he's waiting for Age of Mythology, because he's not winning this game of Age of Empires 3.
Red Palace. Oh, sorry, not Red Palace. The Great Wall Gatehouse goes down there in the middle, opening up the way for the ram train to come on in, follow up these knights. Although I don't think there's much of a base to ram down at this point. Our knights have done a good enough job. What a position here for Mista. What a game. What a series, honestly.
What an incredible game. Like, honestly, I agree, the whole series, I love
It's impressive.
I mean, it's impressive how many different ways these two were able to win between them, but this one had, no doubt about it, the cherry on top. Mista wins 3-2. He keeps the hopes of making playoffs alive. A moment of silence for DivineDFP.